Well, here we go. Guys, everybody out there, we got a great show for you as we go into the weekend, and it is an exciting weekend because we generally, weekend, we get excited. What? You get home, you play some games. We see if there's a little bit of news breaking, but we got a big thing coming up on Saturday, which we're going to get into on tonight's show. By the way, everybody, I've been saying this for a while. Going to have the new setup is done. I set up everything in the office. We're all back to a new convenient way to do this, but again, I had to move all the wires, it's a new setup completely. So, guys, let me know how the audio is. Let me know if everything sounds all right on your end. That goes for me, goes for the other panel members. If there's any problems, I'll try to troubleshoot that as we go. So we're kind of, fixing things while the plane is in flight. Nonetheless, we got a great show for you guys. Please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. Look at that great description right there. Right above it, you have the join button. That's how you get your name in green in the chat. And if you hit that subscribe button, your name comes up in lights. This being said, please tweet it out. Let everybody know we are live here in New York. We got a great show. Without further ado, and we have more people joining us in the second hour, but listen, the one, the only. You guys wonder why we wait to go live until 7:05 p.m. Eastern time. That's because we have to wait. We have to wait. It was 2 weeks without him. People were like, where the hell is he? Well, folks, you know where he is? He's here. The great Crap Gamer's back. Crap. I hope you had a great little vacation. Not bad. How you doing, buddy? We missed you.
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I was sitting here, man. I was like, I'm here. I'm gonna join the room, and then I was like, man, I gotta rip a fart.
Oh, well.
And then it wasn't a fart.
Oh.
So I was like, damn. I was like, okay, I guess I gotta.
Oh, well, you know. Listen, there's nothing better than you got to tell the truth live on air, Crap, and I'm glad that we got that. Get that out of your system.
I'm not one to hold back on that.
No, man. Absolutely not.
Get a little shark going. We all have that happen once in a while. So I was a couple minutes late, but here to do the show, and listen, it's an exciting week. There's some cool stuff to talk about. And again, I like my avatar. I don't know. It's funny.
It's fantastic. It is. It really is.
So I'm just a cool guy. I don't know. I'm Phil Spencer, man. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, it's fun to be back. I'm glad I'm back, and so it's going to be a good show. I'm sure there's some cool people in here.
Absolutely, we're going to have a great show tonight, Crap. Speaking of that, the great Death Singer's with us. Death Singer, you always seem to light up the audience. You get everybody riled up, and I know that you've already, guys, you don't realize this. I do a lot of homework behind the scenes. Crap will attest to this. I try to have many topics. I have my notes under my topics for me to address with the panel members. But the great Death Singer loves to throw a couple zingers at me when I say, do you have any other topics? He threw me one today. We'll talk about it later. Death Singer, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I am doing great. Like, we got Mafia the Old Country.
That's right.
Coming up May the 8th. PAX East. I can't wait for that. Like, a new Mafia game. Let's go. Sign me up. Tons of great news coming out now. You have, we'll get into it, but Naughty Dog's, got the milkers out, if you catch my drift right now. So
it's always great. I've got to join the Death Singer Discord because I'm sure it is full of exactly what Death Singer's saying to you guys right now. Believe me, he sent me a couple of great things. Death Singer, great to have you here. Speaking of that, the great J-Dub City's here. Jay, I called you in because there's a lot of news this week. There's a lot of things coming up. One of our favorite developers over time, right? Halo, of course, Destiny, and now Marathon. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. Jay, how you doing tonight, buddy? Great to have you on the show.
Doing good. No complaints, man. No complaints. Glad to be here, man. Got an all-star cast of people this week. Got some great topics. And, hopefully we'll get to beat up on Nintendo a little bit. Maybe a little bit on PC, but we'll see. We'll see.
We got to talk about it, Jay. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked that we will be kind of hitting on Nintendo a bit here because you want to sit there and say it's a beloved company. And I think even with, it's funny, we'll take all these cracks at it, but I think Nintendo, they're going to get their beat up a bit on social media. But to be honest with you, most people that are saying this are probably still going to end up with a Switch too at some point or another. Nonetheless, we'll get to that in a moment. The great Nib is with us. Nib, we finally got daylight savings time figured out between the United States and Great Britain. You guys are fantastic over there, but you just switched your clocks back last week, right? So it is midnight finally over there.
It is, yeah. I thought I was going to be late, but I'm actually on time.
Well, that's Crap's mantra usually. So that's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
Great to have you here, Nib.
So Nintendo's back on the table again, eh?
Nintendo
is Doug Matrick.
We're going to have to talk about the similarities there, Nib. That's just our job. We're going to have to get into it a bit. It is comical, but at the same time, we'll get a roundabout consensus of how people feel about it. Great to have you here with us. The great Willie Gamer as well. Guys, I don't know. Listen, this is 3 phenomenal people from England, by the way, on the show, which I absolutely love. Shout out to all the people over there in England, because I have quite the UK following from the stats that I see on YouTube. That's fantastic. So shout out to everybody over there. But Willie, you said you got a free Thursday night. I said you got to get on the show. There's a lot to discuss, and of course, some late breaking news that happened just before the show. Willie, how you doing this evening?
I'm good, brother. I'm very well. I'm happy to be on with my boy Nib. It's good to hear his voice as well. We go way back, and yeah.
Yes, sir, Willie. How you keeping,
awesome,
buddy? You good?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I'm groovy. Yeah, really well. Thanks, pal. And great to hear J Dub's voice again, bro. It's been a minute, and Craps too. Looking forward to it, and Death Singer as well with his crazy PCMRist takes. I love how when he's excited for every game, he makes an ardent effort, and it sounds almost painful to never mention Death Stranding 2, because he's just salty about it, bro. You can tell, you can hear it in his voice.
I just don't like the Death Stranding. I don't like it, so I'm not going to play. It's something I don't like.
When you see them gorgeous visuals and that trekking in 4K over like these incredible vistas, you're going to want a piece of that PS5 Pro high.
I love the sales pitch there, Willie. Fantastic. I know you're very adamant about that. Maybe one day Death Singer will lose a bet and we'll get him to play it. We'll see. Maybe he'll stream it too. My God, that'd be good. Tons of people showed up to watch that.
Imagine. He'll become a believer, bro. He will.
One hell of a bet to make me play Death Stranding.
He'll become like a Kojima believer.
Shout out to...
No.
Go ahead,
the thing is, I'm a Kojima fan because I played all the Metal Gears, right? I love Metal Gears.
I see.
The thing is, Death Stranding, he lost me. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The second iteration comes out this June. We'll see if we can get Death Singer into it. The great Craig, the tech guy, is with us as well. Craig reaches out to me and says, Mooch, listen, I got time here tonight, and I got a lot on my mind. And when Craig says that, I said, buddy, we have to make room. The great Craig, the tech guy, is back. Craig, how you doing this evening, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Shout out to the panel. Thanks for having me, Mooch. Shout out to your chat. And yeah, there's some. We got some zingers. So great cast to go over with going into the weekend. And yeah, let's go ahead and get it started.
All right, let's get it started. Shout out to the great, by the way, Neil Augusto. I want to say shout out to him and happy birthday to him. Guys, please do tweet it out. Let everybody know. Lucci Sky, see some great people here. Shout out to Firefighter Alf. Great to see him here in the chat with us as well. Link. You guys are all fantastic. I see Jerome, JC 2013, Eric, of course, our producer in the front row listening from the chat. Guys, let's get started here. Jay, I'll start with you because I don't know what kind of spin you'll put on it. I haven't seen your real take. We haven't talked behind the scenes on it. Marathon, right? So Marathon, we knew that this was going to be something that was coming out in 2025, Jay, but we didn't know when, and we really didn't know what the hype factor was here. And there's 2 ways to take it, Jay. This is all kind of posed the question to you, okay? It's Bungie's newest game, Marathon. They'll have their first reveal this weekend. Jay, my question to you is in twofold here. Basically, do you take this as being hot and heavy because they had a lot of people playing it, all the big influencers, all the media outlets got their time with it, they're still under NDA till Saturday's reveal? Or do you look at it, and usually when something like that happens, you go, wow, this is a developer that has a lot of confidence in their product, so this is going to be fantastic, okay? The other part of it is, why is the reveal on a Saturday, afternoon, per se? What's the reasoning for a Saturday? It's generally a low time if this is a peak hour thing. So it's kind of conflicting there a little, Jay. So from what you've seen and those 2 things, where do you think we stand as we approach this reveal on Saturday?
I think they want attention by themselves. That's like, okay, well, they could have did it during a week while everybody's at work or in the evenings, but Saturday, that's when most people have free time. So maybe they wanted to kind of do a rollout. And rumors I'm hearing is possible the alpha or the beta is going to be available to play that day as well. So I'm not sure. See, here's the thing. This is Bungie. This is Bungie. This is them doing whatever it is they do. This is not the traditional Sony. So I'm totally clueless to Bungie and how they do things. So I'm kind of batting in the dark here. The only reason I could think that they're doing this is because they want the time for themselves. They want the rollout for themselves. and maybe, after that gameplay and them talking about it, they'll say, hey, you can go download the alpha right now and test it out and see what you think. And that would be awesome, because I think everybody in here would be downloading it, doing the exact same thing.
I think the alpha,
versus,
Jay,
on
I think
Wednesday or Thursday or something like that,
I think the alpha coming out, or a beta, or however they want to kind of launch it here, I think that's very good. But I find sometimes that betas sometimes hurt games more than they actually help them. Don't you notice that? Is that the trend? I mean, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. There's very few games where they had a beta out and they're like, I got to get that. I need that game. I mean, there's even diehard Elden Ring fans, right? And I had, shout out to the great Blaze 4K, shout out to Erica. They were on the show just a week or two ago, and they're diehard. And listen, I'm not putting words in their mouth. You can go back and listen to the show. They were just a little bit more skeptical on that. What is it there? Death Singer knows it. Death Singer, what's the new DLC coming out shortly from Elden Ring?
Night Rain.
The Night Rain.
Night Rain, yes. That, and people are, and listen, again, it's multiplayer focused, if I'm not wrong. I didn't get a chance to play that, but what I'm saying to you is some of these things actually end up hurting. But nonetheless, Jay, I mean, I did see someone say that we may see an alpha, and then I also saw somebody debunk that immediately. So I'm on the fence as far as...
It could be. It could be. Like I said, right now I'm batting in the dark on that. This is all, we just all of a sudden we started getting images, then we started getting dates, then we started getting all this weird stuff going on. The website came live, and then all these influencers start receiving this little care package and stuff like that. It's like, oh shit, like this kind of came out of the dark. Jeff Grubb and the rest of those guys, they didn't tell us this stuff was coming, and I'm pretty sure maybe that was Bungie just keeping their cards to their chest. But here's the thing. While I agree with you, sometimes betas and alphas could do more harm than good. As a gamer, I would like a beta and alpha, because I wouldn't want to waste my time on something that I'm not interested in. And if I can try this thing, and if it's for me, it's for me. And if it's not for me, then I don't want to waste my time. Like I'm fine with that. But I totally believe in, you make a great game. You definitely, especially if it's a shooter, you definitely want to put it in the hands of people and have them to test the network out, because you do not, and Mooch, you know this, you do not want to launch a game and you're having all kind of network issues at launch. Because once you lose me, I'm not going back. I don't care if you fix it or not.
That's my point,
once
and that's
tell me on something that's what those alphas and those betas. I mean, those testing the network is part of that, and they say they have dedicated servers, so it's like, okay, well, we'll see. Let's see what this thing about. They talked about the graphics. I guess it's supposed to be some type of realistic / something. So how they describe it is some kind of weird, funky way. But I'm kind of excited. It's right before the summer, before we have the summer games, before we have Death Stranding 2 and some of the other games that are dropping for this summer. Let's see. It could be a possibility. They're like, hey, the game launches mid-June or early June, or it may be May. Who knows? But it's Bungie. They, if it's anybody that can get, I think we don't have to worry about the network part of them, because they have Destiny. They have plenty of They had Halo. They know what they're doing with that. I don't think anyone doubts that. The only question is this a game that can keep our attention? Is this a game where we can finally leave Destiny behind and go to something new and be happy and stay there for the length of time like we were with Destiny? I don't know. That's their job to sell us on that. And so hopefully they can pull it through, man. Yeah, so
Crap, let me ask you, because Jay, you made some really good points. Crap, do you think that that's something? I mean, listen, this is Bungie, and I know that they got a lot of slack for what was going on recently. They've had a lot of internal problems. They had layoffs. They wanted to remain that independent under Sony. Sony had to kind of go in there. We don't know what actually happened. They seem to still be kind of holding their own, but Sony definitely has their finger on the pulse at this point. Is it true, Crap, that you could say in Bungie we trust, or not this Bungie? This is, they did just come off of a very successful final launch of what it was called Final Shape, of Destiny, and Halo's Halo, so we don't have to really discuss that. We know how that was. Is this something where you have a bit of faith in them, or no? You're kind of questioning this whole thing?
I don't have any faith in Bungie. That's just a me thing. Like, I was excited when they came out with Destiny, like you were, Mooch, and that game was bad. And I remember playing it at launch, and I was just like, yeah. And then it's like, find a Grimoire card and do this, and now do the same thing 100 more times. That's not my bag. I can understand people that like that. I thought it was going to be like, kind of like Halo, have some multiplayer, have a great story, and it wasn't really like that. And I guess they fixed some of that with the sequels or whatever. But yeah, that stuff's never been for me. And this is like what's considered an extraction shooter, right? I don't know if there's a big market for that on console, to be honest with you. I don't. I guess, like, what is it? Something Tarkov. Some people on
Tarkov,
PC play
yeah.
that crap.
Tarkov,
Yeah, but like, that's that's not my thing. So when it comes to Bungie, man, I don't know. I don't trust them. I mean, if this is something you're looking forward to, hey, more power to you. But it's just not, like, for me. They could give it away for free, and I wouldn't even try it.
Crap, you know what it is?
I mean? Like,
Isn't Helldivers 2 an extraction shooter?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is, and I liked Helldivers too, but I don't play that. I don't play that anymore, though. You know what I mean? Like, I played it at first. Like, I guess if you have a good friends that are always active or whatever, it could be cool. But I mean, like, isn't it sort of like that? I think there's like Aliens, Fire Team, whatever. Like, those are extraction shooters, right? Like, I mean, they could be okay, I guess. There was but not for me. Yeah, like, I'm not,
most shooters these days, if you don't have friends to play with, it's kind of hard to get into them.
I don't even, like, to be clear, I don't even really play Call of Duty anymore. I haven't, you know what I mean?
Me
And
neither,
it's Game Pass.
I don't either.
And that used to be a yearly
Mooch
thing.
is holding.
Yeah.
Mooch is holding the fort when it comes to COD.
Yeah, I'm holding that one down for you guys. Don't worry.
I can understand why, Mooch. I mean, it's got that gameplay and everything, but it's just like, none of my friends are willing to, they're like, they all have Game Pass or whatever, and I'm just like, why don't you download it? No, I don't got room on my hard drive for that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
you're like, what?
Man, like, you guys are misers here, man.
What? 300 gig now? It's like 300 gig or something ridiculous.
Yeah. I was like, no, well, this was not as bad. It's only 150 gigs. And they're like, well, no, then I have to delete this, or, it's
Can a Series S?
man.
Can a Series S even run it? Can a Series S even
it runs
normal storage? Like, I mean, does it have enough storage? Like,
it could be the only game that you can have on there. Probably.
Yeah, now they have it to where you can just download the multiplayer to that game, whereas before you had to download Warzone with it and the camp and this and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, now you can, like, do a little bit. It's much better than it was, but yeah, it was like, still getting people to want to put all that on their hard drive is tough.
Well, I mean, but okay, so wait, but Wooly, I'll ask you this, because Crap kind of put his point out there, but the question still looms, Wooly. Like, the thing about when we see the media get their hands on games, when games are showcased or shown early, it typically shows a sense of confidence. That doesn't mean that it portrays for every game. But Wooly, in this case, do you think Bungie's kind of confident in this game doing well? They had a lot of big names out there. I watched a lot of podcasts, and they all said, listen, I'm under NDA. I can't talk about it. I think one or two people kind of slipped a bit and gave a couple of quick things, but it wasn't anything detailed about the game. They just said the game is good. So one of them even said that the game is close to good. It needs a little something else. But overall, they enjoyed their experience. So it was still a semi-positive review, even though they weren't supposed to say anything at all. Willie, what do you think when you see that? And the reason I bring this up, guys, and you guys in the chat, throw some questions down too if you have them for us. I really think that this is a big thing for Bungie, Willie. This isn't just like, hit after hit after hit. If this game was coming out right after Destiny and Destiny was just flawless and there was no problems, and like Crap said, going from 1 to 2, they fixed the problems that they had and they made things better. They listened to the community. You can actually have a bit of a downslope. Right now, Bungie is literally, I think, a bit on thin ice here. And that's not just with Sony. That's with their fans. And that's with gamers across the board. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, Bungie have a lot resting on their shoulders, because not only, does the expectation come with the name, Bungie are the Rockstar Games of first-person shooters. Like they're that highest echelon of developer that have the highest expectations when it comes to delivering the best first-person shooter mechanics. And moment-to-moment gameplay. I think pretty terrible when it comes to, I think, pacing, the pacing of their content. I think the cadence of their content, like the last major DLC for Destiny 2, it received rave reviews, but nobody batted an eyelid at it. Nobody cared because they're just so burnt out with it. And I think, that was a flop to a large degree. And so there they've also, in a quality control, you could say, agent within Sony. So there they've gone throwing their weight around, kind of deciding what deserves a release and what game doesn't. They've been a kind of a pivotal say in that at Sony Studios, for better and worse. So if that game doesn't deliver, oh dear, it would not be good for them, because it's like, what have they actually contributed since
I see a lot
acquisition?
I saw an article, Wooly, that also said that the industry is kind of turning back to RPGs, where live service games have now kind of flatlined, and that's because when you stop and look at what's out there, look at your favorite Twitch streamers, your favorite YouTube streamers. Outside, yes, of course, Warzone. We'll get. We probably won't talk about it tonight. Of course, I've enjoyed the hell out of Verdansk being back. So Warzone's kind of gotten a revitalization, but you still have Warzone. You have Fortnite. You have Apex. There are games like Tarkov that maybe a lot of people are saying Tarkov is not successful, but if you go on Twitch, there's still an audience watching that. A lot of the big, right?
Well, yeah, you remember Tarkov not on Steam. Most people look at Steam only for whether a game is successful or not.
Yeah, Mooch, you've also got like the Hunt Showdown, which is, in my opinion, the best first-person extraction shooter ever made. Hunt Showdown is low key one of the best games you've never played. It's fantastic, right? And I've spent hundreds of hours playing that game, and I love it so much. I don't play it anymore, just for reasons. But yeah, I like it. I would. The quality of that game is second to none. But I think the market demographic is a big factor that people aren't considering here. Like the people who were into live service games are older now. They've got responsibilities, and they've not got the time to pour into these life stealers, these games that are no-lifers. You have to no-life these games to get anywhere. Like Destiny, you buy the DLC, you don't have a clue what's going on unless you've rigorously and religiously devoted your only gaming time to Destiny, right? You don't have a clue what's going on. Whereas the younger generation today, they're too I guess you could say, brought up on YouTube games, fast Twitch games, the kind of games that streamers play. They're not lore heavy. They're kind of almost a little bit soulless and churned out, but at the same time, the people who used to play all of these games that are now stagnant, they're in the 30s, bro. They haven't got the mental energy or the reflexes anymore to keep playing these bad boys. So no kidding.
Don't forget Arc Raiders. That's another extraction shooter that's coming this year. Arc Raiders.
Yeah,
that kind of looks like Star Wars or whatever. It's like there's a lot of games out there.
Helldivers did really well because it was PvE, and I think more PvE focused are going to fare better.
Well, isn't this is rumored to be PvPvE? Is it not?
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of gives you a little bit more. It's the same. I mean, Helldivers didn't have the PvP. It was PvE, and I think that's the thing. It was more of the environment, your team working together. This here, you'll have hypothetically. I didn't read the deep dive, but it sounds like you'll have other teams out there, which does make it a little bit. I think they had Plunder. Plunder was an extraction version in Call of Duty Warzone. I got Eric, the producer, saying it's PvP only. I thought I saw PvPvE If I'm wrong in that, that's fine. I thought that it was a little bit more to it than that. Craig, what do you think, Craig? Saturday, huh? Saturday reveal? What does that mean? That's usually not, we don't see that. That is not typical of what we've seen in the game industry.
No, I agree. It's different, but you have to understand where, I mean, we just started baseball season here. College basketball's over and NFL drafts in a couple of weeks. So they nudged it into a nice little Saturday. Hey guys, what else are you going to do? You know, there's no major movies out. Not yet. A few more weeks we'll get Thunderbolts. But it is different. I am going to watch it. I do like the Helldivers game because I like shooting that giant green bug because it's squishy. But overall, yeah, it's just I burnt out on those type of games in the 90s. They haven't fundamentally changed since we were playing Ghost Recon.
Okay.
In the 90s on PC. It just hasn't changed. It's everybody's running around, you're shooting. I agree the mental capacity, everybody's just on these twitchy shooters no matter there's nothing there's nothing to do in them except you just run around. And it's like, okay, this is starting to get a little bit corny. It's overkill. So, but I'm gonna watch it. I'm glad Sony is still they're doing this. I'm interested to see what Fair Games is or comes out because that at least sounds like you have to plan something. If it's a heist game, like all right, well, people are going to have to go in and plan the heist, at least. But yeah, well, I have to wait and see. I'm not going to just watch it and say this is corny or something like that. It's just for me personally.
Yeah.
We were playing games like this in the 90s, and it's fundamentally go capture the flag or defend the territory or everybody go after everybody. It's just it hasn't changed. So I have to wait and see how they do it. But the Saturday is squares right in between a bunch of nothing happening. We're kind of transitioning. So okay, we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. Fingers crossed.
And to be fair, they have got to get this game out soon.
Yes.
Because you got Death Stranding, Ghost of Yotai, GTA 6, and a bunch of other games that come out. Like, dude, if this game is gonna drop, you need to drop it before the big the big attention getters.
Metal Gear. And I think it's funny
Metal Gear,
we went from literally 2 months ago, people telling you what's going to happen in 2025, what's happening. Nothing's been announced. Now it's almost too much. It's like you turned around, open your eyes, and it's all this is here. But let's have to wait. Yeah, I'm excited.
Then you got Nintendo, right? Then you got Nintendo.
Well, that's it.
Right?
This year is cluttered. This year is absolutely cluttered with stuff, right?
Have to get this thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to get this stuff out because I hate to say it, but it's going to go against a bunch of games, a new console that's coming out, so your attention is going to be on that. And GTA is probably going to take everybody's attention away from any game following that point. So, early summer is probably the best chance they have to get this thing out.
Well, Nib, what do you think, buddy? I know you probably have an entire spreadsheet of facts in front of you.
No, I do not.
So
I really do. I've had a very busy few weeks, so I haven't really. I mean, I've been following all the news, but not having much input on it. But I don't know. I will say, like, the premise of it could be interesting, and I'm probably alone on this. I don't like the marketing rollout and the art style. It's not really for me.
I'm the same, bro.
It's too obscure and weird, and it's just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, is this some sort of fucking, find the clues game? Like, just show me what I'm getting, and just give me,
We'll find out Saturday.
We'll find out Saturday, yeah. And
gave me the Crucible vibes. You know that game.
Yeah, well, I don't like. Maybe when I actually see it in person, I'll completely change my mind. It almost gives me like a indie multiplayer game vibes, where like the assets and stuff and the colors and it's like a training ground kind of visual thing,
Yeah.
Like where in other games it will be like that digital VR, where they VR thing and it's just a training. It's not the real actual level, and then you go in the game. It gives me those vibes, but again, like maybe not. Maybe the music will be cool. Maybe it will have its own interesting, unique vibe. But yeah, they're gonna have to work like to get my attention on this, and also because this is such a a concentrated area now. Like, there's so much vying for our time, from Rivals to Call of Duty, this, that, Cats Out on the Mat, and more coming. Like, the rumors are that a Titanfall 3 might be on its way and like it's near completion or something. So, you know, it's gonna have stiff competition, and but maybe they can pull it off. The thing with Bungie, like, ultimately, it's the gameplay that sells. They know how to do amazing, feeling, satisfying gameplay. So maybe with like more mobility or more like different sort of art style, maybe it could really work, and it could be that like zest to bring people back to them. I'm not sold right now. I'm still on the fence where I think it may not be that successful, but I can't say that obviously without seeing the game. But I am excited to at least try it. And it is another example of Sony just having these things like in the back burner. You know, they may not have made a million announcement in a show, but you know, with Saros and with what's the word, Neil Druckmann's game, Intergalactic, and now you've got Marathon and you've got Death Stranding 2. Like, they have bullets in the chamber. They just they just don't announce it well in advance, basically. So you know, it could end up being like where we thought 2024 was going to be quite dry, but then, you know, because of second party, first party, third party games, it actually ended up being a pretty strong year. Astrobot, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2. Maybe this could be another one of those years where they may not have what do they call it, a roadmap. You know, they may not have a roadmap that fanboys can argue about on Twitter, but they actually have the games. So we'll see. But yeah, you know, to the point about the beta sometimes hurting a game, I would agree, though I think historically that is not the case for Bungie. In fact, I think Destiny, the beta or alpha or whatever for Destiny 1 was so successful, it kind of overshadowed the main game a little bit, because it's like you pretty much got everything.
Well, that's interesting, because you make a good point there, Nib. That's exactly what you said when you first started your comment. You said, you know, when it comes down to it, Bungie's gameplay that's the one thing that no one's ever questioned, right? Whether it be Halo or it be Destiny. And Crap made a point, the Grimoire cards, and there was a lot of, especially when the beta came out for Destiny 1, it was that same beginning area, right?
It was deja vu, because we've been podcasting that long. So when that shit came out, you're like, I'm not a fan of betas. You know, you play the beta and then you play it again at the beginning of the game, and it was like that.
It's true. I'm not a beta fan. I'm not.
Yeah,
I was going to say one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, the other point, because you know, Wally, you were talking about
Wally. Wait, who's Wally?
Wally,
bro.
Sorry, Wally. I swear, Wally is the guy, one of my trading guys. Yeah, Wally is one of my trading guys.
I'll start calling you Nipple. So. If you call me Wally again, I'll call you Nipple.
I'll show you a screenshot of one of the guys I trade with, and his name is Wally.
Wally from Wally World here?
Yeah, W-A-L-L-Y. I talk to him daily, so, you know, I confuse the two. But yeah, Wally, yeah. But anyway, yeah, the other thing I was going to say, you know, about you were saying about maybe the final shape didn't do too well. I initially thought that too, but going through the numbers,
no, it did well.
I think it might. It did well.
It did very well.
It actually was just shy of the all-time peak, Steam peak for the game as a whole. It set I think the all-time peak was like 400 or 390, and Final Shape set like 386 or something. So very close to the peak. And it also
speaking ignorant, flipping out. I stand corrected.
And then the other thing I was going to say, which surprised me, when I look at like the Xbox most played list, Destiny 2 is still like within the top 10 to 14, whereas like Halo Infinite's not in the top 50. And other multiplayer games.
No, like it's maintained its player base of diehards, but attracting new players is where I think is where they've really struggled with Destiny, because it's so obscure and the lore, the lore.
It's hard to stop. It's hard to enter a series where, you know, it's like at the end of the second game. You know, it's like, dude, if you just get started, you're done. Like you'll never catch up.
Sunsetted everything, so there's so much of Destiny 2 you can't play anymore. There's so many stuff that is not there anymore, and you're just expected to know all of it. And oh, mate, like it's just very difficult to get into. It's very brutal to kind of get just to not have a clue what's going on. And yeah, but as for Marathon as well, like I do want to just bounce off Nib's point that the art style was a bit of a shock on that whole pink cat lying down on your lap sleeping thing going on, because the first trailer with the music along with like the sprinting, I loved that trailer, man. It gave me like almost like, you know, Tom Cruise's Oblivion, the film Oblivion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this gorgeous art style to this kind of minimalist, epic kind of Hans Zimmer soundtrack kind of vibe thing going on, where you're expecting this kind of this world of I don't really know how to describe it, but it just gave a very different vibe to suddenly. What was that game that came out by Capcom 2 months ago? You played this robot, and it was an extraction shooter, and it died on arrival.
Oh, it died. Yeah, it died instantly. I forgot the name of that game. I know what you're talking about.
It was like that weird name, Singularity something or something like that. Singuality. It kind of almost gave me that vibe. Like the art style reminded me of that Singuality game and by Capcom, like cartoony indie kind of. Oh, mate, I just hope this.
Oh, they described it. Bungie, they described it as realistic / something. So you know, I don't know. I don't know what to take from that.
I think
we literally haven't seen anything. Like we have seen zero gameplay. They're saying that the footage that they've shown so far, none of that is gameplay. None of that is. That's so just all.
Here's the thing, though, Jay. When it comes down to it, okay, these are a couple of key points that I've been trying to pay attention to, especially as we go through these new IP that come out and seeing how people kind of respond. The art style needs to be drastically new, different. This looked something different. I'm not saying that you guys, by the way, different doesn't mean you have to love it. I understand that. Some people can say it's not for me. That's fine. But it can't look like Call of Duty. It can't look like Helldivers 2, okay? It can't. You have to have, and I know that you guys are saying, every one of the critics so far that I've seen, they've said an extractor shooter, that's going to be a rough one to make a success. And I'm going to get behind that and say, I understand that. But realistically, you can't just do team deathmatch and domination. That's over. Okay, Call of Duty can keep doing it, but because that's kind of their claim to fame right there. But that's about it. At that point, you have to kind of step out. And this might be something right here where, and I see, shout out to, by the way, Liquid Tada, I appreciate it. He says, DMZ was COD's Extraction Royale. He said, I think DMZ was better than Warzone. I prefer Warzone, but Liquid Tada, I understand. So you have to understand that I think that when it comes down to it, a lot of the critiques, when they're sitting around the table and saying, we have to come up with something new here, like, there's only so many ideas that you kind of, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, art style, getting people to, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Really connect with the characters, right? Because that seems to be a thing. For me, it's gameplay. Crap, you said it a second ago. You're like, well, Mooch, I understand why you keep playing Call of Duty, whether it be multiplayer or Warzone. It's just that responsive Twitch shooter that just keeps me coming back. And I love Battle Royale in the sense of the way Warzone does it, because it is still invigorating to win that match. If a PvP extractor can do that same thing, where I'm not going to say it's going to be the gas comes in, but the circle gets smaller, whatever their new rendition of that is. And that amp that you have as a gamer to be able to have your team and get out with the most money and be the team that survives, and they're able to do it in a universe that is absolutely foreign to all of us. That's part one that I want to pitch to you guys. The other part of this that a lot of people don't talk about is just the amount of power influencers have. And I don't mean just the reviewers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the streamers. If the streamers, right, if they go out there and they say, this is boring, I didn't like it, the world didn't mesh with me, I'm not feeling it, it was too slow, the time to kill was too quick, the loot wasn't plentiful, there wasn't enough options for skins and ways to create your character differently. This thing hits the ground at 3 or 4 miles an hour, it doesn't take off. So that's why I went back to my 2 points when I asked Jay. And Wise, I'll ask you. You're welcome, Wise, to the show. Wise, one of the things I said before you got here was, they must have they have to internally. That doesn't mean we have to. They internally must have an unbelievable amount of confidence in this game, to show this off to everybody and then have them sign NDA and then be able to absolutely tear the game apart if they want to after the reveal on Saturday. So what's your take, Wise, on all this? I wanted to get everybody's take on it before we kind of move on to the next subject here.
Okay, full disclosure, I don't know what the hell any of y'all are talking about. Okay, so
Marathon.
I know you're just marathon, but I'm just saying that, okay, I usually, when I come home at night, on a day-to-day basis, I deal with the public. So when I come home at night, I'm in that leave me the fuck alone mentality. So I don't do a lot of online things. I mean, online gaming. I do mostly single player. Now, that being said, I do remember when Bungie had the helm of Halos 1, 2, 3, and Reach. And I enjoyed all of those, especially the single player campaign for all of them, especially Reach. And I did not jump on the bandwagon when they moved to Destiny and Destiny 2. I said, okay, I'm going to eventually come back to it. And I think it was you, Jay, who said it earlier. When you are so far out, going back in is like you need a PhD. It's going to take a Herculean effort. So I tried several times to dip my toes into Destiny 2 just because of all the brouhaha. I just couldn't get into it because I was just so way out of the loop. And everyone I saw playing it, I got really intrigued. I was upset that I never, gave it its paces. So I thought, looked at this marathon stuff. I like it. It looked different, as you said earlier, and I'm going to dip my toes in it. I like what I like what I see. I know that it more than most not to write Bungie off. So especially when it comes to multiplayer. So even though what I've seen doesn't really intrigue me, I mean, you could call it FOMO, but I am going to try this shooter because I believe in Bungie's gameplay, as y'all were saying. And if it's anything like the Halo series, when they took helm of the Halo series, I'm all for it. So, yeah.
All right. I mean, I respect that because you're saying it's really just it doesn't seem to be your bag, and that's totally fine. I mean, I don't know, Nib. What do you think before we move on? I wanted to get your take, Nib. Are you excited for the game or no? Because I can. Eric, the producer, is also saying he can barely hear you. Wise, you're plenty loud in my ear, so I don't know if you have to turn something up on your side, but you sound fine to me.
On my side, he's loud.
Yeah, you're okay over here.
Yeah, I am lukewarm. Let's just put it that way. I'm not especially excited, but basically, if I saw what I saw and the rollout and the art and everything like that, and it was anyone else but like a Bungie or like a Respawn or something like that, I wouldn't be excited at all. But it's just the fact that it's a different style of thing with that classic Bungie gameplay. I mean, this is Bungie we're talking about. Like, they literally make some of the most satisfying playing first-person shooters on the planet, So that is why I'm excited. But from what I've seen, the actual game itself doesn't inspire too much confidence. But I think they've been working on this for a number of years, so maybe they've been cooking, and we're none the wiser. We'll see. But I did think this and Fair Games, I thought they could be two other projects that didn't do too well financially. But like I said, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I completely agree there. Shout out, by the way, to Gamer Boy. I see out there a lot of great people. Shout out to Mary Wilcox as well. Anything else on Marathon, guys? I don't want to leave anybody out. Death Singer, I want to get your take on it, to be honest with you, because Death Singer, here we go. I know you're very excited, Death Singer, that it's going to be a PC. You don't have to sign into PSN. I know that 8 seconds is a killer. What do you think? What is this something you're going to actually dive into? Because you're a multiplayer fan.
Right. So the thing is, the extraction shooter market is dead. I mean, realistically, there's only Escape from Tarkov and Helldivers 2. They're the only games that are even remarkably popular. Because I was looking at Steam.
Yep.
And player counts for extraction shooters, right? And Helldivers 2 currently 26,000 people in game. Delta Force 20,000 in game. But then Hunt Showdown is the third on the list, and that's only 9,000 in game. So we're now going down the list. There is realistically only 2 or 3 mega popular, 2 mega popular extraction shooters right now. So it is a prime time to get into the extraction shooter market because it's not like trying to get into hero shooters, or if you're trying to get into Battle Royale, it's hugely saturated. There isn't that many extraction shooters out there that are successful. So there is an opportunity, and you also have to remember Tarkov isn't on console. So this could be a nice niche for them, because I don't think you'll convince the people to drop Tarkov, because the people who play it are really, really hardcore. Like, normal people don't get into it for the most part. So they could carve a nice niche, but it's also Bungie. The gameplay will be good, but I also worry because Bungie, they make good decisions, but they also make completely stupid decisions. And they will flip on a dime, whether it's good or bad. Like, you can't predict. Like, take Destiny 2.
Yeah.
They'll release let's take Witch Queen, right? Great expansion. Then they release Lightfall. Garbage. Then they release the Final Shape. Good. And then the DLC, the expansion before that was garbage. So they keep going back and forth between what's good, what's not. And they also have a terrible time balancing that game. So hopefully they took a lot of the heavy mechanics out of it that's in Destiny 2 and just keep the raw shooting gameplay rather than abilities, because they are not very good at balancing their games. So we'll have to see. If it's good, I mean, extraction shooter was never really my thing. I mean, I tried Tarkov, didn't really get into it. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how good it looks, and it might gain some traction. But it also might just do horrible, because extraction shooters aren't the rage now. Like,
well, I like your take there, to be honest with you, Death Singer, because you said some things you said, okay, there's a couple negatives out there, which you're not wrong. But you also said, wait a minute, the extraction, that whole genre is open right now, right? So there's not a ton of people swarming that. The part where I don't necessarily, you said, well, the few that are out there have already kind of suffocated that genre. I mean, so Battle Royale is the same, right? I mean, in that sense, right? You have Warzone. Apex has even dropped recently. I don't know if you could tell the number on that. That number has gone down from how high that used to sit. And then you have Fortnite. I mean, PUBG does, and I'm not saying Apex and PUBG don't get numbers. They get numbers, but they're drastically short of the two I just said. And even Warzone up until Verdansk, and I'm going by Twitch. He's going by Steam. I'm going by Twitch. And that's viewership, so that's not necessarily an apples for apples thing, but it does gauge interest into a certain type of genre. And Call of Duty was sitting in the in peak times on Twitch at 30,000 people watching. That's low for something. Now, just to give you guys an idea, Verdansk is back, and at peak times, I'm just seeing, this is what I'm seeing. I saw upwards of 120,000 plus, just to give you an idea of the correlation between what I'm saying here. So, I mean, that's the thing. Myself personally, just for the audience to hear, I'm excited for it. You guys know, I say it all the time. You guys see it on the channel. You guys see it here. And guys, just a quick shameless plug. The Twitch channel streaming thing is either going to be the last week in April, early May. Like I told you guys, I'm sticking to that. The office is all set now. I'm trying to get a few more things in order before we go. I got to test the equipment out for Twitch and everything, but then we're going to be doing a routine stream over there, at minimum 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, and I'll have the schedule out and we'll stick to it just like we do for CrossFire. And to be honest with you, I'm excited for games like this. This is something that's exciting. I want to play a lot more multiplayer games. Yes, we're going to be doing some Warzone. We will be doing some great single-player games as well on the channel. But a game like Marathon, if that catches fire, I'm really pumped. I'm really pumped for something like that to kind of pick up and take off. And I don't care who makes the game, to be honest with you. Bungie definitely has a knack for their multiplayer games. I don't think that we're going to hate the gameplay. The gameplay might carry it. Now, whether or not you guys like the art direction or what they do with the character development and things like that and the progression, I don't know. That's what's yet to be seen. That's what I'm really going to grade them on. I would be shocked if I don't like the gameplay. Before we do move on, anybody else? Willie, what do you think? Anybody? Go ahead. That's it. You're good.
One thing I did want to say. Thing is, you have to realize genres fall out of favor over time. Like, I like to think of the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Strategy RTS games were all the rage. There was hundreds of them. There was tons. There was so many great games. You had the Dawn of War series. You had Civ, AoE. You had a whole bunch of them. Now, if you look at the RTS market, it's not what it once was. there's still the staples like Age of Empires and Civ, but there's not the new fresh games and blood. They're trying, but it's hard to capture what it used to be. MMO is the same. Think of all the old MMOs, right? They've died out over time. Now you're stuck with basically Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy XIV, and World of Warcraft, right? That's your top three. Now, there used to be tons of MMOs, but that genre has fallen out of favor. So I think extraction shooters just gone to the same as these other genres of games. It's just not what's popping right now. And you would rather chase, like, look at what Marvel Rivals did. You would rather chase the Overwatch train, because that's what's popping right now. Whereas extraction shooters used to be good back in the day. Same as RTS games. They used to be popular back in the day, but now they're not as popular as they once were as a genre.
Listen, and you and shout out to the great BG who was on the show last week. You guys really did a great job proving me wrong and saying, hey, listen, it's not just about the Marvel characters when it comes to that. The only thing I don't agree, Deathsinger, what you just said a second ago is, hey, look at what's going on with Marvel Rivals. That's why that's popping off right now. I mean, Overwatch was, not doing well. I don't want to use the word deceased, but it wasn't doing very well. So I don't know if that genre is necessarily happening. I think that the Marvel, listen, again, you and BG made a great point. It takes great gameplay, and they made that game. That game is buttery smooth, and then you have those Marvel characters on top that has so much love and admiration from gamers, comic book readers, everybody galore. So that's a bit of a stretch to say that that's the hot and rage. It's great gameplay. The developers knew what they were doing. They made an outstanding game, and then you have the Marvel layers on top of it. It's just it's kind of a recipe for success there. But if that was all the rage, Overwatch would be neck and neck with it, right? And I don't see that happening.
I was going to say, I do think that that you're torn between two markets. You've got the ADHD gamers of today that are the super young, grown up on crazy loud YouTubers playing Fortnite super fast. You can't tell what on earth is going on the screen, but they do. They've got ridiculous reflexes. And, Call of Duty kind of appeals to that kind of more and more. It's gone from the 2019 tactical experience that it was to you're flying across the map in seconds, and there's no point in using a car anymore or a vehicle on the ground anymore because you can just super jump and then skydive across the map. And it's basically turned into Apex Legends and Fortnite all amalgamated into one mushy mess. And I think all games are kind of trying to bleed into that market and appeal to those kind of gamers. But then you've got gamers like myself. The hook is the skill curve, the skill ceiling, and the reward that comes from a win of that skill ceiling. That's the hook. A game like Hunt Showdown, again, I mentioned it before. It's sweaty, but it's tactical and it's slower pace, and you have to take things everything is earned and everything is deserved. It's not just rock paper scissors. Who sees who first. Yeah, the audio, you have to use your ears. It's got the best audio in all of gaming. Like the binaural audio engine that they use in that game is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is so tactical and methodical, and it appeals to a specific type of gamer. But I think the reason why it doesn't explode as much as other games is purely because a lot of people are a bit intimidated by it. It's a bit difficult. It's a bit sweaty, and it's brutal. It's brutal losing all your gear if you die. That's the cost that comes with a lot of extraction shooters. I think Marathon got a balance that it has to strike here, who it's going to appeal to, and what it's willing to compromise in. As long as it doesn't compromise on the important things, the hook, the gameplay, the pacing, and the progression, I think those things are key. I think the art style is just whether you like it or not, you'll just deal with it. It's not the most important thing that it needs to have going for it. I do hope though that there are tactical elements to it. That's my biggest hope, is that if you can play the game tactically and wins feel earned and don't just feel like it's all one big, it doesn't feel like a Call of Duty just reskinned, then I'll be happy.
Well, that's really all it there. Go ahead. Somebody have a comment?
Yeah, I do have something to say to push, not to push back on against, but to support what Death Singer said. Back in the day with RTSs and stuff, like Blizzard was king, right? When World of Warcraft came out, and it was a perfect storm at that time because people were accustomed to these big old MMOs, and EverQuest, what preceded World of Warcraft, it was huge. Then you had Asheron's Call and all that other stuff, and then WoW came out, and because of the success of Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, it was in the world, and it just went crazy ballistic. And same thing with like StarCraft and your RTSs and everything like that. And if you even look at the people who did Westwood, not Westwood, what is it? Who did Command and Conquer? I forgot the developer.
Westwood Studios.
Westwood Studios, yeah. But the developers of those games are not the same developers.
They're dead.
Games now. Yeah, the Blizzard of today is not the Blizzard of yesteryear. And I would even venture to say the Bungie of today, from what I've heard from discussions. As I said, I don't play Destiny 2, but I know I know the Halo that I played on the Xbox 2 and all that stuff, like Xbox 360 and all. But I don't even think the Bungie of today is the Bungie of yesteryear. So obviously these games are not of the yesteryear. These games are a quick cash grab than what they used to be, you know? So yeah, of course these genres are dying because the developers are not the same. There was a hunger back in the day. Now I think it's just something totally different. I mean, I don't know.
I'm willing to counter that with, it's not necessarily that the developers have changed or the strategies changed. It's that the gamers have changed. A lot of gamers have grown up, or I'm not saying that they're grown up, but they've evolved. And in these companies, they're looking at the data. That's all they have to go by is the data. What are gamers buying? Where are they spending their money? What are they playing? And they look at these top 10, top 20 games, and they're saying they spend all this money on this, and this. Okay, let's go out and make a game that accomplished that and see if we can get them from that angle. A lot of times, as gamers, we collectively shit on an idea, we shit on something, and as soon as the game comes out, then like everybody's all for it, or everyone embraces like, oh yeah, I love this. This sounds good. I can't wait to play it, and then nobody goes out and buy it. You just never know what you're gonna get. Gamers are just so fickle these days, and I can see how.
I can tell you this much about the gamers today because I'm teaching the Gen Alpha gamers here. I don't think they have the attention span to play a MMO because they can only pay attention to it 3 minutes at a time.
And that's true, but on the flip side too, right? It's still got us, right? You still got us old heads, and we spend more money than anybody else.
But we're a dying breed. We're the last of a dying breed, quite literally.
But I remember people saying that back in the Sega days, back in the N64. People have been saying that forever, and I don't listen to. And the reason I don't listen to those people because I spend a shit. Mooch, you spend a shit more money now on gaming than you've ever had in history.
Absolutely,
I spend a shit more money than we ever had. We used to spend
more than all of us,
hundreds of dollars back then. Now we spend thousands, if not 10,000s of dollars on gaming. So don't tell me we're dying breed and we're done. We are the fucking industry. My kids aren't spending thousands of dollars on games like that. They're playing Roblox and Fortnite. They're playing all the free shit.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Jay? You make a good point. No one ever talks about that. We talk about the generation and the gap there. But when our generation does get to the point, you say, oh, we get to the point where we're really old, we're not playing anymore. I mean, I'm talking really old. Like, what are they going to do? Because like the next couple of generations, they're not putting that money out like we are. I mean,
not at all.
It's interesting. That's going to be something. I mean, maybe things will change. Remember, I always do think that. I'm not saying they won't, but they're not showing that trend right now.
If you ever get to the position that you can't press your controller buttons, I'll be the first person to get you your arthritis medication.
I was just going to say, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
You don't have to. You don't have to, because guess what? Me and Mooch got the adaptive controllers.
That's right.
Rely on, brother.
That is right. That is right, Jay.
Also to Wise's point, the market, when I was on about how genres die out, bear in mind, when MMOs and RTSs were popping, Fortnite didn't exist, GTA 5 didn't exist, Call of Duty as we know it now didn't exist at that time. Like, this is before the era of live service shooting games and battle royale games. So, obviously, League of Legends didn't even exist. back then. Like League of Legends came out in 2011, I want to say, and like this is early 2000s to the mid 2000s. So when all these games started coming out, like Call of Duty started popping off, and then you had Fortnite released, that GTA released. So I just think the market has evolved, and I think extraction shooters just fell to the wayside. And I don't. People now are stuck in their ways of playing their Fortnites and Call of Duties, and I don't think people look at extraction shooters the same way they would a battle royale or a typical multiplayer game. I just don't think the customers there are for that game.
I was going to say though, like we're talking about, I think like the gaming is actually. I know people complain all the time, and more companies, lose money or there's layoffs and everything. But I think that's more of a volume issue. There's just too many games. But actually, the money coming into games is at an all-time high. Like this is literally PlayStation's most profitable generation ever in history. They made more money in 4 years than every other generation combined, accounting for losses. And what I think has happened is like there's kind of like a divergence in the market where you've got a lot of young cats and their parents and stuff is they're online game crazy. Their parents and stuff are buying them. Like literally my brother-in-law, when he was 13, I'm like, what do you want for your birthday? He wants Fortnite skins. I'm like, bro, I'm not getting you Fortnite skins for your birthday. He's like, but that's what I really want. Or get me some like FIFA, are there packs or something? I don't know. I don't play FIFA like that. So,
oh man, sounds like my worst nightmare. Bro.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, so they're spending crap loads of money on that, which is high margin, high profitability microtransactions, right? And then you've got the old timers and like a different sector of the market. Let's be honest. Look at Nintendo's first party game sales. Pretty much every single one of their franchises with the Switch set an all-time franchise record, right? Look at PlayStation now with the PS4. Obviously, they haven't been out long enough to set franchise all-time records, but God of War is the fastest-selling PlayStation IP at the time. Last of Us 2 was the fastest-selling PlayStation IP at the time. Spider-Man 2 was the fastest-selling PlayStation IP, and now Helldivers 2 is. So literally, like, every year or couple of years or whatever, they've got a new record-breaking game. GT7 estimated to have sold 14.5 million. That is now just 300 or 400k shy of the best-selling GT of all time, and that was 6 months ago. So guaranteed it will be the best-selling GT of all time by now. So like actually sales momentum-wise, and I'm not trying to throw oil on the pan, but there's only really one platform that doesn't have those numbers, doesn't have that growth.
Which one is that?
Don't
we don't know.
Don't do it.
Which one is that?
Do it. You're going to be after Cyborg. Don't do it.
Nintendo. You missed Nintendo.
Name this console. Name this console, sir.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to be Cyborg. Don't do it.
We don't know.
The platform love to say routinely console gaming is dead, console gaming is dying, but that isn't true except for one particular platform. Actually, the growth metrics with both Nintendo and PlayStation are off the charts.
Oh yeah,
but the other platforms also making money though. According to them,
it's still making money. Yeah, that's
making money for them, so they're happy too. So we don't have to shit on anybody.
I think I remember, Nib, what you were talking about. Is it that what's the name? What's the name of that company? They used to make consoles.
Let's not
talk about that right. They're going through a lot of changes right now. It's making some of their fandom a bit salty, so I won't rub salt in the wounds. Let's put it that way, But let's just saying they're adapting to their situation currently. But yeah, so actually, like across and actually, even that company now, because they're gonna get a taste of the PlayStation buying consumers, I think they're gonna be happy too, because I'm sure. Forza Horizon and Indiana will probably sell a lot better on PlayStation than they. Well, I don't know about Forza Horizon; it's a bit too thin, but
Forza Horizon 5 is a soulless, terrible game.
I disagree with that heavily. I love Forza Horizon, but
Forza Horizon 4 was good. Forza Horizon 4 was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I bought Forza Horizon 5, and within 2 hours, I was bored out my wits. It gave me.
Forza Horizon 5 is the best arcade racer on the market.
Forza Horizon 3.
Listen, I will agree with Detzinger on that. I believe that Forza Horizon 5 is the de facto king of arcade racers at the moment. It is. It's just a, you know, and followed by Ubisoft's their racer, because I play it a lot on the PS5 Pro, and it's a great racer. So once Forza, I mean, that's day one for me. Forza Horizon. That's just one game. Personally, and you guys know I love my racers, right? All my sim racers. I love my racers. That game is kind of hater proof. It's just nothing bad about it that you can arguably go against it, and that's, you know, unfortunately, that, you know, to this point is really the highest rated Xbox game. It's the highest consistent quality game they have. I think it literally is
my only Jay. Everything you said, Jay, I really do back up. I do. The only thing, and I said this to Crap, we said this since the Forza Horizon 3 days, is enough with the festival. Can we get can we do something else with it? But everything else, the mechanics of it, the feel of the car, the way they look, the way that it handles is absolutely, it is stellar. But I was like, you know, could we do something else? Remember, they were going to do something. They were going to do different types of drifts in Tokyo and this and that. And I'm like, change the scene a little bit. It's just these big, wide open areas, and it's, you know, balloons and tents. You know, can we do something else? You know, just once. That's my only gripe, if you want to say, with the series.
Mooch, you know, like I have, like, it's crazy. Like Forza Horizon 3 is still my favorite. But I actually have, like, with the exception of Forza Horizon 5, I think I have like 80 hours in that. But I have like 100 and something in Forza Horizon 4. And I think like nearly 150 in Forza Horizon 3. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I just know it's a lot. But I think what I love about the Forza Horizon franchise as a whole, and I do agree it's getting a bit old in the tooth now, like repetitive, but it's kind of like not just a car lovers, it's kind of like an adventure car game, if that makes sense. Like, because a lot of the time you're not just racing, you're you know, snapshots, breaking
mindlessly
signs,
just driving around.
And you know, just breaking signs, doing jumps, like doing drifts, like it's almost like it's almost, you know, like an open world RPG.
You get rewarded for racing bad. There's nothing fun about that.
But
well, I will say this though. I will say this. A lot of times, if I'm going to podcast or I'm just hanging out with the fellas, I will just play it and mindlessly just drive around. I have no goal. I have nothing I'm trying to achieve. It's just a nice, beautiful scenery, great graphics.
Jay, are you picking that up for on PS5? Are you gonna pick that up?
Absolutely, day one. Absolutely.
I don't even know why I asked you that. Actually, that's his genre of choice. I mean, that's what he's playing.
You know, I got to put out my traditional. Oh my God! Thank you, Phil. I've always wanted to play this game.
That's right. Crap loves those tweets, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big fan.
Crap. Yeah,
you know, I will add a bit more salt. Like, you know,
I deleted that game when they announced that on PlayStation. I was like, fuck y'all, man.
You know, I always hear Xbox fans say PlayStation's fans secretly want Xbox games. No, it's not that. It's there's a very small number of really fantastic games, right? Like we see from the critical reception, from the awards and stuff like that, what games on what platforms are doing what, right? Well, we can see the data, but like there is a handful of really high quality. Like I would say like Ori, Hi-Fi Rush, and Indiana is I really enjoyed it, and Forza Horizon. They're arguably the best games or best exclusives on Xbox. But what? Like, I think what it is with Nintendo, PlayStation, or just general consumers, there's not enough of them, or they're not big enough to switch over to another platform entirely or buy that platform, but they will be happy to buy the games on their own platform, right? So they're not system sellers per se, but they're good enough to be a purchase.
Yeah, and let's face it, not every one of Xbox games are a dud. There are some games where, like you said, they're not system sellers, but hey, if they come across my platform, I'll buy it. I picked up Age of Mythology when it came. You know, hey, I'll pick it up. No skin off my back. I didn't have to go out and spend $500 on a console or buy a Series S or anything like that. Hey, it comes across. It's $30.
I mean,
Who cares?
that's the thing what people don't talk about. Like, we're always looking to play a game from Xbox that reinvents the wheel. And I don't think that's Xbox MO. I think Xbox just wants to put out really just decently good games. 7, 8 level games are not bad games. That's what we played in the NES era, in the Super NES era. Most of those games were 7 or 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
So
One thing I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, like there were some exceptions back in those days, but like for the major part, all of that stuff that you went to Toys R Us and got a golden ticket for was an 8.
Now that they've that they've gone full third-party publisher and fully embraced the PlayStation,
the quality is going to go through the roof.
The quality is going to go up because they're after sales. They're after sales numbers. They're not after,
and they know we're not going to buy some shit, right? We're not buying crap. So
well, you are buying crap because you're buying Forza Horizon 5. It's
oh man,
to be fair, it's a 94 Metacritic. Think about it, Willie. When it comes to the PS5 Pro, right? It's going to have the DualSense haptic feedback. It's going to have the 3D audio. It's going to have, the advanced ray tracing and other things that'll push it up to, it'll probably get a 97 Metacritic.
I know you guys are saying the quality is going to go up. That may not
experience on the planet. Go on.
No, Willie, you're wrong on this one, dude.
No, I'm not. But come last place. Here's a hypercar. You didn't come first. Oh, you came last. Oh, no problem. Here's a hypercar. We'll spin you a lucky wheel, and you'll get the fastest car in the game. And it's
but that's R&D.
Where's the progress?
No, but you get more money and more points and more rewards if you do better, right? So that's. But by the way, I do agree with what you're saying to a degree. This is why Forza Horizon 3 is my favorite, because it was the most competitive out of the bunch. And in Rivals, like when you compete with other players and stuff like that, and lap times, it was much more difficult to get first place versus other people around the world, and that's why I loved it, because I used to. Basically had this thing where you could see other people's setups and stuff, and I used to tinker with my own setups, change suspension, ride high camber, all this other.
Nib will be right back.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed in all you men of culture. I thought you were men of culture.
See, hang on a minute. I have to bring it up though, because Woody can hate on me for not liking Death Stranding, but he doesn't like Forza Horizon. I mean,
I love Forza Horizon. I love Forza Horizon 3, and I love Forza Horizon 4.
But basically, Forza 5 was too casual. I get it.
In that single, we expect you not to like Death Stranding. You know what I'm saying? we expect you not to like. You know what I'm saying?
It's not my kind of game. That
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not
exactly
for everything you're doing, it's just fighting for second place. That's all.
Yeah.
No, that's Stranding for Death Stranding for Death Singer is like that picture of that really hot girl you fancy, but it kind of pangs your heart every time you see it, so you kind of avoid looking at it.
So while we got Wooly all worked up. Listen, we got Wooly all worked up, and we're going on the Forza Horizon. Let me go ahead and just change subjects here quickly to The Last of Us.
Death Stranding is analogous to dating a hot chick. And you have to take her out to dinner first, and then you have to listen to her talk about boring ass shit just to wait for her to get home at night so you can fuck her. That's it. That's
wise going.
Someone said something.
Yeah, okay.
So I think J-Dub said the quality of the games will go up because they're expecting more revenue, but that may not necessarily happen, because I think and I could be completely wrong, but if you notice, since kind of Xbox transitioned to doing PC day-date releases, I would say that it feels like there's been a drop-off in the quality of their tentpole IP and releases, at least some of them anyway, right?
But that's because of Game Pass. That's not because of that's a Game Pass effect where it's free, so I don't have to go all. There was no incentive for a developer to just make a super great game, right?
Listen, Nib, they don't want you to believe that, but what Jay said does hold water. Realistically, they kind of had their fan base believe that the whole time. It's like, just subscribe. It was $10. It started at $10 a month. Now we're up to $20 a month for Ultimate. But hear me out.
Let me.
That's ultimately an effect.
I disagree with that, though.
It's a cause and effect. But go ahead, Nib.
I mean, that could be a reason. I don't personally think it is that. I think what it could be is because you add an entire new platform, right? And then you spread your development teams thinner. Because if you actually look at the credits for these games, every newer franchise release has more money invested in it and much higher production and development than the previous one. So it's not a lack of effort per se. It's not a lack of money. Like Halo Infinite may very well be one of the most expensive exclusives that have ever released if you look at the credits, right? I think including across the campaign and single player, like nearly 4,000 people are credited to it. I think it's like 3,000 something. And Gears 5 and even Forza Horizon, I think nearly 3,000 people are credited to it. So it's like these are very, very, very expensive projects, and they're putting a lot of time and money into these, and they have really long development cadences as well.
Yes.
Now,
so Halo 3.
Imagine the amount of money that's going to be put in it now to when you have 150, call it 100 million people that you're going to have to cater to. And let's not include Nintendo, right? Let's not forget Nintendo. So go ahead and double that. Call it 200 million of paying customers, not freebies, but paying customers. No, they know that there's a quality threshold. If they want to make money, those people, the games have quality has to be up to par to even pique Nintendo guys' interest or to even pique the interest of PlayStation gamers. And guess what?
So just to finish up,
those are going to be the leading platforms, the PlayStation and Nintendo. It's not Xbox.
I would just say, though, I don't think we're going to see a dramatic increase in production or development outside of the normal trend. I don't think just because they're releasing on PlayStation, they're going to be like, you know what? We only had 3,500 people working on Halo Infinite. Now we need to bump it up to 5,000. I think what will end up happening is the team, they may increase a little bit. I think they've actually downscaled. I think it's called a different name now. Like it's not 343i, whatever they've changed it to. I think from what I remember seeing,
it's Halo Studios, is it not, or something like
Halo
that?
Studios, yeah, Halo Studios. Yeah. So I think what might actually happen, and I could be wrong, is they're just going to be spread thinner because PlayStation development is actually very different to PC and Xbox development. Completely custom, bespoke, proprietary API and development kits, etc., etc. Like now they're going to have to siphon off a large portion of their team to either port to that platform or develop for that platform. So I think it may actually, at least in the interim, at least for the initial releases, may even negatively impact quality because now they're having to develop for.
This break is brought to you by.
So now they're going to have to develop for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC simultaneously. And I think that may actually cause a bit of pressure to the development teams because I don't think they're going to increase.
I'll counter that. Let me counter that.
Yeah.
Those games that you mentioned previously, they were based on Xbox, right? We're developing this for the console. Microsoft is now a full-fledged third-party publisher. Their goal is to put games everywhere. So that budget is going to ramp up a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. Everything, because they want to make money. It's all about making money now. And you're not going to make money by throwing a bunch of 60 Metacritic, 50 Metacritic games.
They're not going to invest any more money. All of these publishers are already thinking about how to trim the budget. These games, I don't care what camp you're in, are costing way too much. And these CEOs are trying to look into every technology or every means available to trim the fat. It's just way too hyper bloated to say they're going to take 3,500 and increase that size to 4,500. That's just not going to happen. When has a corporation made extra money and given it to the people who needed it the most? When the fuck has that ever happened in any corporation?
Microsoft currently has more studios and more publishers than pretty much anybody in the world, right? They're the world's largest publisher with all these studios. You're telling me they're just going to keep doing the same thing that they've done just with the Xbox, but they're going to
keep the status quo until the status quo doesn't work.
Crazy.
Because
it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
They see it. For them, there's no loss. For them, what they see, their Sea of Thieves made money. Their Grounded or their Pentiment made money. Their whatever made money. Why in the heck? And these are 80 Metacritic games. Why are they wanting to make a 90 Metacritic game? What is the motivation behind this shit?
Whoa. Hold on. Pentiment sold 12,000 copies. It probably cost more to port it than it made. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like 3 of those 4 were failures. And if you look at the money from Sea of Thieves, right, that took over a year of development time to port it. Sure, it made $64 million minus Sony's 17 million, minus the marketing budget, minus what the studio takes to port it. Microsoft probably walked away with $20 million to kill. You know, I mean, is that worth it to destroy your image and your brand? I mean, apparently to them it was. I mean, like I said that all along. Hi-Fi Rush tank, Grounded tank, Pentiment tank.
But you're talking about a brand that they already evaluated and said, okay, this is not going to happen exclusive on our console. These numbers that we're trying to meet are not going to happen on just our platform. We have to look outside our platform.
Well, I mean, if you look at it though, now you have the numbers and you're going, okay, well, shit, it doesn't even make sense to port some of these games, right? It costs us more money to port it than it does to sell them over. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Hellblade 2 or Avowed or South of Midnight, I don't think those games are going to light things up just because they were on PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not lighting things up now. Like, I don't think, like, it's like put Crackdown 3 on every single device in the world, make it available, right? Every phone, and it's not going to sell any better than it already did just on Xbox because it was a shitty game. Right?
Forza Horizon 5 will do well.
Forza Horizon 5, that game has been in the top 15.
Right. So I think
years.
Crap, you make a good point.
Xbox,
Crap.
yeah.
No, I just want to kind of take, this is what I was going to say, Crap, you kind of led right to my point. Wise, it's not that you're wrong or Jay was wrong. You have to look at the game on a case-by-case basis. When you were hearing the numbers that Nib was giving you with the amount of labor and the cost when it went into like Halo Infinite and Gears, those were astronomically high. So if you want to say those astronomically high games are not going to go much higher in cost by Microsoft, I'll go there. But when you listen to what Crap was just saying with Grounded and Hellblade 2, those games are not going to move the needle that's not going to make Microsoft a whole lot of money putting those on PlayStation as well. That's where Jay was saying you have to put more money into those games.
To elaborate a little bit further, like, and people might go, oh, well, that's because those games didn't launch day and date. That could be an issue. Well, the only way to make sure that those games can launch day and date would be to expand the team somewhat. You know what I mean? Like, you would have to do that. So if you look at the way that those games are kind of developed, you would have to hire some more people in there, right? If you're a multi-platform third party, you have a
shame on them if they don't. Shame on them if they don't.
I mean, you have to. Well, here's the thing. This is why, like, I always get a lot of crap when I mention, that I hate the strategy going forward anyway. And one of the main reasons is if you're an Xbox fan, right? You bought an Xbox. A lot of us bought an Xbox on the promise of exclusives. You're getting screwed more than just not getting exclusives anymore. It's like they're going to purposely hold games back until they're ready to launch with PlayStation, right? Like Forza Horizon 5 is getting this big update, but only when it launches on PlayStation, right? That's probably been ready on Xbox for a while now. Or, Indiana Jones might get this. Or, it's like they hold off on this stuff, you know what I mean? I mean, who knows? We could have had Outer Worlds 2 could have released for us already if it wouldn't for, PlayStation having to have their version too, right? It's like people aren't really counting on it. Also, if you look at games that take advantage of the specific platforms, like that's why PlayStation games look so good and play so good, right? Even with weaker hardware, their games look better than Xbox stuff because they're not, they're telling the devs, make this for our hardware, right? If we can put it on PC later, we will, but that ain't our problem. You know what I mean? Like we'll port it. If it runs good, it does. If it doesn't, oh well, right? Microsoft is putting shit out on a potato. It has to run on double potatoes. You know what I'm saying? It's got to run on a Series S. It's got to run on, somebody's Pentium 1, whatever the case may be. So it's like, that's why, the games. Yeah. So that's why, like, I've always kind of thought it was lame to kind of do the things that they've kind of done with that. And then now you add in PlayStation as well. And it's just like, you don't get anything specific that's taking your hardware.
Crap. Let me ask.
But in general, something has changed in the whole industry. And I mean, I was just looking at this the other day with the whole shit show that was a Switch 2 announcement. If you look at back in the day with E3, you had characters. You had like, for example, your Peter Moores and your Reggie Fils-Aimés and, with PlayStation,
Sean
had,
Layden,
of course, Kazurai and all these people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jack Trenton and all these. And there was like they were in it to make money, but they were putting out stuff that had a lot of, like, I guess passion, heart is the word I'm looking for. Now everything has become so sterile and corporate. Like, it's all just, okay, this is what we're going to put. This is the
You had
finances.
competition. That's why.
And that's
Yep.
all
Did
that.
you just
know, like,
describe Forza
Yeah.
Horizon 5?
You had competition, man. You had like Peter Moore's up there getting tattoos because he wants to beat PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you had Reggie. He's like, we're all about kicking ass and taking names. You know, it's like you had competition. It's like people don't realize this. Like, okay, $700 PS5 Pro, $450 Switch 2. You know, like uninnovative games. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this stuff is like.
It's why
there's
it's funny.
There's a lack of
Crap, you're kind of right
lack of
because
competition.
yeah, without the competition and exclusives and having that fight, that's why a lot of these new games come out right now and everyone's like, this sucks. This is boring. This is just like that game. This is just like that. Well, this is what you want. When you want everything on one platform or you want everything shared all over, you know, you lose a little bit of that competitive edge. And I mean, you said it yourself,
that's why
Wise.
that's why I like Black Myth Wukong, the developers. You remember they had that big brouhaha before the game came out about these couple of sub-developers for that game science, and they were tweeting with one another, and there was like all this BS going around, like what they were saying to one another. Do y'all remember that controversy? Y'all remember the controversy with Black Myth Wukong, right? The whole the thing that they were tweeting back to one another or messaging back to one another, they were like, people were saying they were sexist or whatever, right? But if you look at what they were saying, these were young developers who were making their first foray into a console space, and they were talking about how their games is going to kick ass, and this girl, you know how two guys talk. And I like that because it showed that they had a passion in the game. These days, in times I look at, like, for example, the new Mario Kart, it looks a fucking dud. It looks like the same fucking Mario Kart. You know, it's like, okay, fine, it's another Mario Kart. You know, it just, everything seems so sterile. So I like seeing developers like, what's the guy's name? Joseph Ferris. He has fucking passion in when he talks about his game. So it gets you excited about these big cut publishers. They don't have that shit. And, you know.
But
That's
to
funny
me
too.
personally, it still goes back to like what Crap said, competition, right? If you don't have any competition, what are you fighting for? You're just gonna rake in the dough, rake in the money.
Dude, I can remember Aaron Greenberg, who still works at Xbox, right? Like, some of this stuff must kill him, what's going on with Xbox. I don't actually expect him to work there a ton much longer, because how could you? But he would go, oh, Halo outsold every PlayStation 3 exclusive this entire year by itself, right? Yeah, I mean, they would do the blog. We had, you know, an average of 1.3 million people on Halo 3 every night. Blah, blah, blah. We had, 1 million people on this, and, they were very proud of what they were doing. It was like, and if you were an Xbox fan, you were like, okay, we had Gears of War. That was fantastic. And then you had, Uncharted, that series come out, and those people were like, wow, we've got Uncharted. And then we had Gears, and then Halo, and then we begot, Killzone 2, which made them step up, right? And then because Gran Turismo was so good, you came out with Forza to battle it. But now you have those two on the same platform, and it's like, okay. You know what I mean? It's like...
Peter Moore said, like, competitive spirit and like those fanboy kind of competitive back and forths are what was good for the consumer, right? Because you're constantly trying to one up each other. PlayStation 3 started out really slow, too expensive, blah blah blah. 360's taking market share. They're shoring up these big exclusives left and right. BioShock, Mass Effect, you name it, Call of Duty DLC, fucking GTA DLC, timed exclusivity, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, so the only way to counter that is for PlayStation to pick up their first party. They come out with Killzone 2, Infamous, GT6, Last of Us, Uncharted 2, 3, like God of War 3, you name it. They just put out banger after banger after banger, and it's good for competitors. But I was going to say, if I just get on my soapbox for 1 second, because I think Astro Cyborg has already clipped me, giving out facts and data and truths about the market, about our business that we love, about this hobby that we love, is not being a fanboy, right? The people who are allergic to the truth, to the facts, to the data, to the realities of the business itself and gaming, they are the fanboys. Anyone who listens to these things, listens to the truth and the reality of what's going on, and their reaction is, oh, herder, those are fanboys. You're only outing yourself as the fanboy, because no one who is not a fanboy zealot would be allergic or hurt just from hearing the truth. Whether if PlayStation's doing bad, we'll give the PlayStation data. If Nintendo's doing bad, then we'll give the Nintendo data. But we should not be averse to the truth and to the realities of what's going on in the industry. Always seek the truth through data and facts. And if you don't like those facts, it's a you problem, not the people speaking problem.
Preach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But-
Well, so listen, and running right along with that, I mean, crap, I'll ask you this question. And it really does. This is an interesting thing that came out. I saw a lot of people talking about it. Xbox canceled their FanFest. And I think it is because the rumor, anyways, is that now moving forward, possibly this summer, you're going to have a situation where PlayStation and Nintendo logos may be showing up on Xbox games on stage.
Well,
they didn't want to have that.
It's not maybe. Phil Spencer said we're not going to have people guessing, so they're going to have Nintendo and PlayStation logos and Steam logos, and wherever you can purchase the games, they're going to have that stuff up there right away. So this came out, and there's like, oh, we're not going to do that, and right away I'm like, well, you're not going to have a crowd of people there because they're going to see PlayStation logo on like a Halo or Gears of War, and there's going to be a lot of boos and a lot of like disappointment there. So yeah, they probably want to control that as much as possible. I saw some damage control or whatever. People go, no, it's probably too expensive. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you have this company, $2 trillion, and they can't afford to have. They're not going to do it in the way that they've been doing it with an audience and everything. No, I mean, it doesn't make sense not to do that.
That's not that expensive either to have the fans there and give a gift pack. They just don't want to get booed out of there. That's pretty much all it kind of comes down to, and rightfully so. I mean, I would be 100% on board. Even huck some fruit at Phil. Something like that's not going to hurt him. Like a stale orange or something, banana, something along those lines, hit him with, maybe the reaction wouldn't be good. Crap. That's gotta have played a role.
Mean, listen, they know that they've destroyed the brand, and they know that, people don't want that, despite, what some people might say. I always say it's so odd to me. It's because like I'm a console only gamer. So like I've never been one when they started doing this whole play anywhere stuff. I was always like, I don't want to play anywhere. I just care about playing on the console. And it's like the people that all hype this stuff up, I noticed most of them are like end up being like PC gamers, and they kind of parade around
they're the little Mabu.
Gamers.
They're the little Mabu of the game industry. They're like, their games might be for everyone, but the box is mine.
Like I never really understood that, and it's not a knock on anybody. If you like PC, great. If you like console, great. It's just I'm saying for me, Xbox is a console. It's not a a cloud phone thing. It's not it's none of that stuff. And I always just thought like each of these things needs their own games built specifically for them. It gets really kind of generic when you do it the other way. It's like kids play phone games. It's true, mine does, but when they're home, he's playing something completely different on the console, right? He's playing, Bloon TD6 or whatever on a phone for a few minutes. It's a free game with ads or whatever, right? But when they're home, they're playing what their friends are playing. They're playing Roblox and Fortnite and that kind of stuff. So it's like it's a completely different. I always think it's a completely different set of games. Like I don't think Gears of War and Halo. I don't think those translate well to a 5-inch phone screen or whatever. I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't think people are really going to be interested. Like if you're out and about gaming, usually the phone games, the little things that you download for free, and people are downloading them for free, and that they're not going to pay money for these. You don't need to stream them. It's like you're downloading versions of these games, and that's what they like to do. So I always thought, it's always best for each platform to have its own. And if you look to like the creator of Xbox, Seamus Blackley, he's even said that. He's like, PC, there's just games that work well on PC that don't work well on console. And there's games that work well on console that don't work well on PC. And if you look at it, right, and this is a good example that I give, why hasn't Microsoft put Halo 5 on PC? Because it wouldn't work right the way they set it up. They built it specifically to take advantage of console, right? And so it wouldn't work well on a PC, and so it never got the port, despite every other game getting that port. Because when you're doing that, and you have to make something that, when you make something that's got to appeal to everybody, I think you lose some of that speciality. You know what I mean? It's like like if you put an RTS game on a console, you really got to dumb it down. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like it's almost better off not even being there. So it's like some of that stuff, and it's just like like PC gamers, they like stuff like Counter-Strike, where that stuff's never been big on
And
console.
Dota.
They've
and
tried,
Dota.
yeah, and Dota, and Team Fortress, like that stuff has never been big on console, right? It just no matter how many times they put it out there, it just doesn't work. They don't care.
And banana.
And so-
and banana. Don't forget about
Yeah,
banana.
whatever that is, I don't know. But yeah, it's like it's like each platform really has stuff, and it's like for a long time those survival games were really big on PC, and then a couple of them came to console and did really well, and then it got flooded with survival games that nobody cares on console again. It's like that. It kind of they go on these little kind of waves or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at it anyway. It's just like I think you lose some of that speciality when your games go other play. Like the games that's again. And I'm not the biggest PlayStation fan, but it's like you play those games and it's like it's taking full advantage of the hardware. They look and play great, and they take advantage of what it is. And you can tell developers took time out to do that. And then for most Xbox games, it's just like you could tell that they didn't. Usually, a lot of times, that's why like Xbox, which was more powerful, had the worst versions of games. Even though it did have the powers, because nobody's going to really take time for that stuff, and it's just like, it's really kind of a shame, lack of competition and stuff. But hey, Mooch, man, I got to go a little bit early. But,
No problem, Crap. I'm glad you can make it
yeah.
tonight. I know you actually said you were like, I'm 50-50 on tonight, and I was like, Crap, I
Yeah.
hope you can make it. Hey, you're here for almost 2 hours, Crap. I appreciate it, buddy,
Yeah,
as
man,
always.
just it's stuff going on. So, I'll be back next week for sure. Nice doing the stuff with you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys later, man. I'll have a good one.
Thank you, Crap. Appreciate it.
What's
Well,
up, man?
Later, guys.
Later, Crap.
Later.
Let me say this, so I'll get Willie all riled up, because I think we talked about Xbox and the FanFest there enough. I do want to talk a little bit about, this was kind of breaking news today. I didn't have it originally on my list, but I did add it last minute. Last of Us Complete Collector's Edition comes out. And I know that this has, I'll start with Wooly here, because Wooly's really ramped up about it, but I think me and J-Dub will be able to simmer them down once we actually look at some of the other things. But Wooly, what really got up, what got your nerve going today with this one?
I had to talk my friend Ola, bless his soul. He's like an impulsive gamer, right? He buys everything and that he's passionate about, and I get it, but he'll buy every version of The Last of Us that he can find, right?
Right.
And this, Bully, I can't get this where I live, and in Australia, I need you to get it, and I'll send you the money, and you get it for me. And I was like, bro, what are you actually getting with this? And he was like, it's just like the games, but they're together, and there's nothing else. There's just postcards and a few pictures, and that's it. I was like, what is Factions multiplayer like remastered and part of it? No.
You got
He
got
was
comic
like, no.
books.
And bro,
Mm.
I looked up YouTube, I looked it up, I watched the trailer, and I was just shaking my head. I was like, what is this nonsense? Like, how many re-releases of The Last of Us do we need? It's taking the mick. It is taking the mick. Like the fact that Factions wasn't even remastered and attached to it, and then I looked at the price, $109.99, literally, for games that like you can get dirt cheap nowadays. Just oh, bro, I can't even justify.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, I gotta say, guys, and you guys know how much I love The Last of Us. I will say, from our standpoint, and any of the podcasts you listen to, or gaming media, or anything else, I agree with Wooly. This is the 100th time it's been rebranded, so I understand that. So the one thing I told Wooly when I first saw it, I didn't necessarily go, I'm not picking up this. You guys know I bought. Not only did I buy The Last of Us Part 1 when it was redone, I had it digitally, and then I still have a sealed one that I bought physically. And to be honest with you, I got the remaster, of course, of 2. I have no problem with that. I wanted that. I wanted to enjoy it. I want to play them both over again. I got the platinum again in part 1. I played through, but I did not get the platinum again in part 2 yet. But my point being is that I got the platinum in part 2 when it came out. But my point being is that this is not what I told Wooly. This is not for us. This is not, and this did not take Naughty Dog. This isn't one of those things where like, well, it took Naughty Dog away from doing. No, it didn't. They just took the 2 games.
This is for The Last of Us.
This is for The Last of Us on HBO. There is
It's like
listen.
Red
There's
Dead Redemption.
I'm not
and
Willie.
Red Dead
Listen,
Redemption 2 releasing together.
Willie. There's people that always have we call it, water cooler talk or coffee pot talk at work. You're around the coffee pot. Everyone's kind of talking this and that. I had people literally say, "Hey, if you guys, people always say this. Oh, did you watch the second season of Severance? Oh my God, it's killer. You got to watch it." One person literally walked up to our circle and was like, "I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but The Last of Us is season 2's coming on HBO. This thing is fantastic. They don't play games. They don't know. So there's a whole new audience of people that are going to be going to see the HBO series and then say they're probably going to watch half of season 2 and someone's going to go, man, the game is killer. I love this. And someone's going to go, there's a game after this? Oh, yeah, you didn't know?
Yeah.
Actually, you can get 1 and 2. So that's
or a
what
TV
this
show
is
based off of
for.
a book,
It's not a defense thing. I'm not buying it. If someone said to me in the community, hey, should I get this? I'd say, do you own them already? Yeah, then no. However, I'm also not going
in the chat.
I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your money. I'm just saying with Willie, he was upset. I saw a couple people take it. You got to remember something, guys. Everybody that's in the community, people that podcast, people that listen to podcasts, you guys are all part of this family that we're all in here, right? And we talk about this stuff every week, if not every day. So you got Aaron, I can't take you serious. Aaron was literally a couple minutes ago. Aaron in the chat. Shout out to Aaron, by the way. Aaron, in case you don't know, Aaron was the person that was an Xbox fan. Now he's a Switch fan. And when we were talking about money making for PlayStation games,
he's down bad.
Well, hold on. He basically goes, oh yeah. He goes, now you guys are talking profits over games. But yet when Aaron was an Xbox guy, he was like, go ahead and buy our Xbox game so we can make more Xbox games. Thanks, PlayStation guys. Aaron, you're all over the place, buddy. I mean, listen, just at least stick to one lane per week.
All I can say is, in the chat, people saying that I'm upset over a repackage. No, I'm not upset. But you know that Gordon Ramsay gif where he goes, "Oh f off," right? That's literally my reaction to that trailer, because all I'm saying is, right, when we wanted factions to, that's cancelled. We even just a remaster of Factions 1 multiplayer. If they had thrown that in with it, oh mate, I'd be all for it. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? It's unique. There's nothing unique about this. And I know it's not.
What I'm shocked about, Willie, what I'm shocked about is the cost. The price is what shocks me. That's
crazy.
Extremely high.
It's like packaging Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 together as a single duo package. And I get it. They sell as the full price, the retail price of individual games paired together. Get it. But bro, like for goodness sake, not The Last of Us again.
So Jay, let me go to you, Jay. Jay, you go ahead and speak your piece. But the one thing I'll say that's different here is just as a funny thing, and Jay, I know you definitely know what this is about. You had when Fallout came out, and Fallout did very well on Amazon Prime. Xbox did something similar, but they promoted the crap out of the games again. But they sold the games at like $3 or $4 or $5, right? So they had this big sale. Remember when everyone was like, "Fallout's back"? 3,000% increase in player count, and it was they were basically giving the game away. It was under $10 to play the games. This is different. This is like, hey, this is going to be a hit show on HBO. It definitely is. But 100 and whatever it is, $110, $120. That's a lot of money.
Mooch, this is how I handle it.
What do you think?
Wait, hold on. Let me just pause for a second. Isn't Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or something about to come out again or something like that Jeff Grubb and all those guys are talking about? Anyway,
which game?
How I handle that situation?
Oblivion.
Oblivion. Yes.
Right?
Oblivion is coming out again. Yes.
So, all right. So how I handle that, right? Just to anybody who are like, "Oh my God, why is this coming?" What I do is I put my hand on the mouse button and I go to the website where it says add the cart. I just click my finger on add the cart, and then I see the buy button at the checkout button. And I hit checkout, and then I just buy that shit. And I stare them. I don't blink. I just stare them deep into their eyes, right into their soul, while I'm hitting that checkout button. That's how I handle people like that. Because listen, it's not for you, and I get it.
That's right.
It's not. Listen, we all have bought this game. We've all beaten it. We've bought it on the PS3, the PS4, and the PS5.
That's right.
It's not for you. This is not an addition. Hey, you got to have this. It's like, no, they just took the two games and packaged it together, and they say, hey, here's a steelbook. There you go. If you want it,
right,
it's fine. They're not trying to resell you.
Does it come
you
with
know,
the physical fucking game? Does it? Come
I think
with
it. I
the
think
game?
it does.
There's a
I think it
physical
does.
edition. There is a physical
Yeah.
edition
Yeah.
releasing.
Like no, like
You know,
or
and listen,
are you paying
my
for a steel book with a
yeah,
with
my
a
controller, the Last
cardboard?
of Us PS5 DualSense controller came in today, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, did I need it? No, absolutely not. But you know what I did? I stared Wooly into his eyes and I clicked add the card and I hit checkout.
And you said I
and
bought
I
it.
bought it anyway. And I bought it anyway. That's just
You
this is
bought
what
The
we
Last
do.
of Us? You bought the
controller.
game as well?
The collectors absolutely.
Don't you have the other two?
Absolutely. But listen, hold on. Let me add the cart real quick and let me check out while I'm looking at you through this podcast right now.
No, I looked at that. I looked at the launch and I actually went on PlayStation Direct and I said, look, I was okay being first. I didn't even mind the sloppy seconds on PS5, but I'm definitely going to be damned if I do thirsty thirds. So I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. But no. This here, right? It's just a repackage together because they sold the game separately. Obviously, they came out separate. They packaged it together and they put it out there. And you know, if it's 4 years for you, you can actually go to GameStop and get a physical copy or something like that for cheap. It's not mandatory. So that's why I didn't really get the, you know, and then there's a lot of reasons to, you know, give them backlash or scream and cry for a lot of stuff. And then I don't know, maybe I'm looking at things differently now that, you know, hey, listen, the Legend of Zelda, the Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out again. And those games are $80 this time. So I just like, for a game that's not, I can't be upset. It is what it is. I'm done. I'm done with my outrage for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've spent my rage bucks out. I'm done. I'm tapped out. It is what it is. I have no more energy to be upset at anything at this point, right? At this point, with Nintendo doing what it's done, with the Xbox having done what it's done, and what Sony has done what it's done, dude, I'm done. Who cares? I'm pooped out of all
I
of
tweeted
it.
to Naughty Dog. I said,
because the same thing about it. This thing is going to sell out the same way the Switch is going to sell out, the same way those $80 and $90 games are going to sell out. It's over. The consumer will choose where they're going to spend their money.
That's exactly it. We said this earlier in the generation, and Jay, you've been on the show. Shout out to Brap, who couldn't. Hopefully he can still pop in, but he's definitely coming from long distance tonight, so hopefully he can make it. I was talking to him earlier today. But, you know, the market will always decide. It doesn't really matter what, you know, the market will decide whether or not this thing does all right. I think, again, this has literally been put together for the fact that we have a Last of Us Season 2, you know, coming out but next week, I believe. If it's not this week, it's
Sunday. Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So shout out to Sheffield's Fear. He says, Mooch, Last of Us story sounds like an addict telling his beautiful, triumphant experience, but all anyone can think about is all drugs he's done. You mean The Last of Us, the story itself? Or do you mean Sheffield's Fear? You have to explain a little bit. Or do you mean the people buying the game? I don't know where you're going with that. And if anyone else can explain it, I don't know. I'm not putting that puzzle together. But I appreciate.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this, right?
He takes himself so seriously. He's saying it's pants basically, but it takes itself super. It's so self-indulgent. It's so indulgent in its own story, where all people observing kind of got that cringe look on the face. I think that's what he's going with.
That's what you need a British guy to translate.
Wow, that was
people's language.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was. Well, Wooly did a great job, and I'm not sure if that's what he really meant, but I'm gonna roll with that.
Don't make him call a Bobby on you. Don't make him call a Bobby on you.
I don't know. I mean, myself personally, I think. Now, Death Singer, I don't know why we can't get you into The Last of Us. That one I have yet to figure out.
It's just not appealing to me.
I mean, it's got so much.
It's because it's Sony. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a PlayStation.
Do you like
it's a PlayStation thing.
Do you like?
No,
sex?
it's not.
No, because it's a Sony thing, right? Remember?
No, it's not. It's not because I just don't like that kind of game. Because if it was just the Sony thing, I wouldn't be playing Ghost of Tsushima. But I am. So I mean,
Death Singer.
It can't be a Sony thing, can it?
It's a Sony thing.
The echo,
It's
Chad.
not a Sony thing.
No, Chad, the echo is coming from. It's for some reason we haven't figured out the problem yet. That's coming from Wise's microphone. I don't know what that is. It's not your fault, Wise. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But
no worries.
No worries.
So, Death Singer, do you like sex?
Of course.
Okay, so why didn't you play The Last of Us 2? There's sex in that one. There's actually 2 scenes of sex. Yeah, there you go.
Well, no, if I wanted
talking about
that,
the game, too.
I mean, it's been selling since Adam and Eve days. So there you go.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I can mod any game to do that. I don't like that's nothing. That's not special.
Yeah, Wise, you gotta get into the PC world. They can make anything happen. If the game doesn't have it, Death Singer can make it happen.
You can make anything happen, but it's like. I just
Death Singer's got his own little folder.
Don't you want to see a jacked, Biff-looking girl get anally rammed?
Absolutely
not. Guys.
No, absolutely not. No,
so
the thing is, it's like on to The Last of Us doing this collection. I find it hilarious. It's just like I am pretty sure when you pre-order Intergalactic, there's gonna be a Last of Us collection included. Right.
Absolutely.
Because
guess what? I'm gonna add it to cart. I'm gonna check out while I'm looking at you in your eyes, and then gonna buy it.
And then PS6, they're gonna have the Naughty Dog collection, and it's gonna contain The Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us Part 2, and Intergalactic, and that'll be a launch title for the PS6. And then
Jack and Daxter? What the hell?
No, because Sony doesn't care about that. All they care about is Last of Us and God of War and stuff. They, So I'm still in. This is for people, I guess, if you enjoy being milked, because you already have these games. You already have the remastered versions of these games. What new will be in this collection?
Comic books.
What haven't you?
Well, I was just going to say, what happens if this thing is worth, $1,000 in 10 years, Death Singer, and Jay laughs all the way to the bank?
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't open the physical edition. It's a pretty nice trophy, I guess.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say the milk thing like you're saying there. I don't think that's because if Jay wants to have it and he wants to frame it and he wants to put it in his gaming room, that's fine. Jay already has these games. Jay's not going to get that dual combo set, open it up, take a picture of it and close it and then put it on his. He's gonna leave it sealed. It's a memento. Yeah. He has the games already, so he's not gonna take that out to use it.
One day TLC is going to do a special on J-Dub's house in an episode of Hoarders, and they're gonna walk into his house and he's gonna have everything Last of Us all over, just coming out of the closet.
Everything.
And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to look at him in the eyes. I'm going to add it to the cart, and I'm going to check out.
J-Dub, do me a favor, bro. Can you find like a PS5 Pro and Death Stranding 2, and I'll send you my details, and you look at it, you add it to the cart, yeah. Send it over.
So Portal while he's at it, since he's adding things to the card, tell me to add a Portal along with it.
Look! I have the 30th anniversary edition of the PS5 Pro, the PS5, and the Portal and stuff. I mean, it's part of. It's not for everybody. I like to have it. Listen, everybody back here
his name to
has beat The Last of Us 1 and 2. We all probably got the platinum to it, right? And it's okay to buy things.
When Abby gets anally rammed, I'm again. I'm gonna pull down my pants and look you in the eye.
Oh man, Lordy, yeah. But I'm just. It's just like. And some people say that, with me about cars. It's like, well, why do you buy this? Why do you have this? It's like, listen, I looked at them in the eyes and I added to cart and I check out. It's like people do that all the time, just like with this Nintendo Switch. I don't plan on buying it day one. I don't plan on buying it at all. It's just not,
But guess what? Amazon UK the other day put up pre-orders, and guess what I did? I looked at everybody in the eyes.
You looked at it, you added to cart. And guess what? Because you did that, I'm not here saying, "Oh, why did you do this?" or "Why did you do that?" Who is this for? I understand it's something that didn't interest me, and it's no benefit to me. But I understand there's a benefit to you, and you decided to do that. And I support you 1,000%. It doesn't bother me. But
did they cancel it?
They did not cancel it yet. They've not canceled it.
Well,
at
he's
all.
in the UK, so they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no. Oh, Wise is in the no. Wise isn't. Are you in the UK?
I'm in the United States. I ordered it from Amazon.
Yeah, okay.
UK.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
there's no
say
cancel
because
on it.
Okay, okay.
In
because
fact, he
I
sent me a
pre-
confirmation that it's coming.
I
because
think
I
some people, yeah.
pre-ordered it and it was hilarious. So I was like, okay,
Mhm.
so I have this game and I have this console, and then I saw the American people go quick, and then Amazon UK turned around and said, "Fuck off,"
Yeah.
essentially. And I was like, thing is,
I wasn't
want
actually going
one.
to do it. I actually wasn't going to do it. I saw the ad from Wario 64, right? And I said, okay, I clicked on it and I said, let me just see if this motherfucker will let me actually pre-order this shit, right? Because Amazon doesn't take any money for pre-orders. So I'm like, okay. And it took me to the website, and then I did some math. I said, okay, look, this thing, even with the exchange rate, is costing me $533 with the game, right?
Mhm.
If I bought it here in America with my 10% tax, the sales tax, it's $550. So shit, I'm saving money, you know. So
Well,
I said, okay.
a good question. A good question comes from this is, how many times did everybody back here buy GTA 5?
Oh my God, Jay. Honestly,
We don't.
No,
we don't.
no,
have that
everybody.
same-
That's all
people don't have
fine.
that
It's
same
fine, right?
vitriol
Yeah, it's
or hate.
fine.
Why are you? Yeah.
360,
It's crazy.
360, PS3, Xbox
Yep.
One. People bought it. Oh,
Yep.
oh, my friends are over on PS4 now. Oh, I'll buy it over
Yep.
there.
Then PS5.
And then
now. It's like,
and then they got the enhanced edition this generation, right?
It's only bad when Sony do it. I think,
it's
for whatever reason.
Well, listen,
same thing for Skyrim. Don't forget that.
Absolutely. And guess what? When Skyrim comes out, when this new edition, whatever
Oblivion,
it is that they're gonna make, right? That singer, I'm gonna pop in next week, next Thursday on Mooch, at 7 p.m.
That's
Eastern.
Right. The Lord's time. Yes.
I'm gonna give that singer the wink and the nod, and I'm gonna hear what he has to say. And he's probably gonna look at me in the eye, add it to cart, and check out, and he'll be perfectly fine.
He'll be okay with it. He'll be okay with it.
Wait, what? What am I supposed to be checking out though? I'm already happy with what I got.
Oblivion. He's saying you're gonna buy the Oblivion remake.
Well, because see, this is where Bethesda royally fucked up. We have to talk about this now. Bethesda screwed over their fan base, right? Because Bethesda has always been good with the modding community, yeah? The thing with the Oblivion remake is they decided to do it on Unreal Engine 5. Now, that doesn't allow mods. You can't mod it, right?
Oh.
So the entire modding community, they just shut them out. They just said, fuck off. You're not modding this game.
What about Skybound?
Now that's what I was good. That's what I'm waiting for. That's releasing this year. It's a fan-made remake of Oblivion using the Skyrim engine, completely fan-made, and that's gonna release, and it'll be the superior version compared to the Bethesda official version. So you're better off waiting for that, because that will be free or minimal cost at best, and you'll be able to mod it. You'll be able to play the game. And it's fan-made, so love and care will go into it. Because these people aren't developers, well, AAA developers. They're people who love Elder Scrolls, and they want to do right by it. So wait for that. Don't buy the remake, unless you desperately haven't played Oblivion before. If you played Oblivion before, don't waste your money on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Bethesda jank with the rigidity of the Unreal Engine 5 is not going to go well. I don't see it working out very well.
Interesting. I didn't know about that. That's a good point. And Detzinger probably makes a very strong point, Jay, that the PC community is probably not going to buy that, because a lot of the folks that like to play those games, they love their mods. If you remove the mods, it does take a little bit of that attraction from the PC community. I think it'll do very well on console, probably still. I shouldn't say very well, but good for that age of game being remade. So we'll see.
PC gamers are never happy, though. Let's be honest.
Well,
yeah, they are.
Well,
they're just happy when they're not being screwed over.
But they're always being screwed over. Look at those GPU prices. Look at all that. It just depends on how they want to acknowledge it. A lot of times they don't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So definitely, they snub their nose at console gamers, and clearly console don't really have like all the mods and stuff like PC gamers, have and stuff like that. And I give them that, but shit, at the same time, PC gamers don't have to go out and spend $3,000 for an overpriced GPU. And just imagine trying to get a 5090 right now, right, with all the tariffs and everything else. Like,
well, yeah.
You know, and so it's a give or take, man. It really is a give or take. And then at the same time, right, the biggest game in the world is coming out this year. PC gamers won't be able to play it. So I'll sit there with a shiny brand new 5090 sitting there watching PlayStation gamers play it and have all the fun and stuff. You know, like that SpongeBob meme where Squidward is looking through the through the blinds. It's like, you know,
that's going to be Jay. So
yeah, you know.
So speaking of that, let's switch over here because I mean Nintendo's in the news and we spoke about it last week, but we had quite the issue this week, guys. I never thought I would see the Don Matrick quote come back, but the great Bowser, okay, I believe it Doug Bowser says if Switch 2 is too expensive, well, he has a console for you, the original Switch. What do you, Jay? I mean, did you ever think you would see? I mean, of all the handbooks you want to use, somebody slipped them Donnie D's handbook.
Yep, that's Donnie D's playbook. And here's the thing: you know what it goes to Mooch? As much shit, and you guys know, as much shit I've given Xbox over the years and stuff like this. Xbox is a better value. Game Pass is a better value. The games are cheaper. They come with with all the features, full set features, and it's a better value. If you have kids, get them a Series S or give them a Series X and give them Game Pass, and you have access to all of those games. Nintendo, they're to the point where they're charging you damn near $100 a game. They're charging you more than the PS5, the price more than the PS5, right now for their console.
J-Dub doing an Xbox commercial was not on my 2025 bingo card.
No,
me neither. But listen, I gave Xbox the smoke. I wake up pretty much. If you've noticed the last 2 weeks, I haven't said anything about Xbox. I haven't been going at Xbox at all, right? And why? Because we have a new bad guy in town, and it's Nintendo. If PlayStation and Xbox can get all the smoke for things, why can't Nintendo? Nintendo just comes walking in here, and people gave PlayStation shit for $70, even though they weren't the first one to usher that in. That came from the third parties. I think like NBA 2K and Madden, they were the first one that ushered that in. But everybody gave the smoke to Sony because they, embraced that. And so it's just for all of the bad guy this, bad guy that, Nintendo can walk in and say, hey, I'm gonna up you. I'm gonna up the ante, right? I'm gonna check the price another $10, another potentially $20, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to make this consumer friendly. Fuck little Timmy, pardon my French, but they don't care about little Timmy, right?
No, they don't.
Xbox had to worry about. You remember that time? What if he came out? But what if he came out? What if he came out and he said, we know it's expensive, and that's why we still have games coming out for the original platform. And we're going to be continuing going it forward because it is a good entry price to the ecosystem, and we got games coming forward. And I think that would have been better received.
I don't want to hear it because Donnie D said the same thing back in 2013. He got all the smoke. He got ran out of town, and he became the evil villain for a decade. Nintendo doesn't get to come out here, say the exact same thing, and get praised for it.
But that's what my point is. I think all these publishers are tone fucking deaf. They do not know their audience. Like, what the fuck are you saying?
Well, and here's
save that.
Here's the bigger thing. I think more gamers would be willing to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt for the $450, right? I think they'll be willing. But on top of that, you're gonna have the nerve enough to charge, to have, $80 and $90 games out the internet. No, that's a non-starter for me.
No. The way he justified it was the thing that pissed people off. The way he justified it. Well, we look at it on a game-to-game basis. So what are you saying? You mean to tell me that this Mario Kart is an $80 game? So therefore, by your metric, because you are grading this, your Mario Kart is better than Donkey Kong Bonanza. So if you are a third-party publisher, well, you don't want your game to be thought of as less than Mario Kart. So you're going to make sure that thing is also priced at $80 to $90, even if it ain't as good as Mario Kart, because you don't want the image to come out that, hey, this game is cheaper, therefore less of a game. And that's
here's the thing. people kind of gave Sony shit for a lot of this stuff. Think about it. Spider-Man, it came out as what they spent $300 million on Spider-Man 2 or something like that. You got your ray tracing, your motion capture, your fancy graphics. You got all this stuff. Nintendo walks in with subtitles, with characters that don't talk, no voice acting, no motion capture, none of the features, no ray tracing, no nothing.
All they get
to say, "Hey, my game, I think my game is worth $20 more than these people that spend, you know."
Jay, here's the thing. You know, when it comes down to it, first of all, everything you're saying is gospel. You know, they're not giving a lot more, especially like you go and you buy Breath of the Wild, and you're gonna get the Switch 2 version. Now, if you own it, I think it's a $20 upcharge.
Or free if you are with the expansion pass thing.
What does it say it again, Wise?
So, like, okay, so if you are a Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass member, you get all of those upgrades for free.
That's right.
For a year.
For the subscription.
Yeah. For yes.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people are going to be new to getting a Switch, buying a Switch 2?
Right, so they're going to be paying full price for the game.
I don't think that.
So you don't get any grace for that just because you previously got.
But Jay, you know what it comes down to? Listen, and we could talk about the price and what they're doing, and I'm actually really shocked. Nintendo came out with the Switch and absolutely killed it. They won NPD and just sales month after month for years. They had this. They could, and what they did, actually, believe it or not, some Nintendo fans or not Nintendo fans, you can not be happy about this, but they basically just said, "Hey, we have a successful thing in the Switch. We'll make a Switch 2." I don't think the Switch 2 probably costs that much more to make. It's definitely more, but like they went to a $500 price tag, and now they're saying the games that are on cartridge are going to be, $190 physical or $80, digital, and maybe they're going to even go up from there. Nothing's going to go down, folks. It only goes up. And Nintendo's notorious for never putting any of their games on sale. So it's not like PlayStation and Xbox where you say, well, they'll drop and wait 6 months, they'll drop. These games don't drop. Go ahead, Wise.
It's never.
Just see the logic that they used, and the problem that Nintendo has historically been bad at messaging to a certain extent, because the logic that they're using is, okay, if you're not an expansion pass member, we want you to pay $20 for the upgrade. Period. But if you're coming from the old variation, we want you to pay $20 for the upgrade. Now, as y'all said, these games don't go on sale. So Breath of the Wild for Nintendo is still $60. So if you add $20 for the upgrade, that makes that game $80 if you're buying Breath of the Wild for the first time. It's the same thing with the Tears of the Kingdom. That's why they say, okay, we're just going to keep it as 80, and people are going to say, oh, we get this in the upgrade. But the problem is that what they didn't realize is that people wanted, you're only giving a 60 FPS or 120 FPS patch. That's all your upgrade is. Why in the fuck are you not giving it for free? For a game that came out in the beginning of the fucking Switch era, in the beginning in 2017, why are you charging me extra money for a 121st FPS patch for an 8-year-old game? And that is what's pissing people off.
Well, you got that, and then the fact that they have a button on there, the C button, that is useless unless you spend money to unlock it. And it's like, are we really doing this?
Hold on a second. So hold on.
You know what happens if you're not subscried? If you're not subscribed and you press that button, it pulls up an ad.
JT,
a button for an ad.
Hold on. JT Gamer goes, you guys are, what does he say here? You're all out of date. You don't know what you're talking about. JT, I don't know what in the world you're talking about. We just said the new games digitally are going to be $80, physical or $90. We were talking about the upcharge. If you, like myself, I currently own Breath of the Wild, okay, or Tears of the Kingdom. If I'm not, because Wise was, he mentioned if you are in that, what is it there? If you're the yearly, what is it? What's the name of it? Wise?
The expansion pass.
The expansion pass, right?
Online and expansion
so if you have that, it's free for the first year or whatever, something like that. But for the people who are not, it's a $20 upcharge. So for me, I have Nintendo Online and I have all the NES, SNES games that are in the backlog and all that stuff you get monthly with those games. Is that the expansion pass, or that's not the one you're talking about? That's not the pass.
That's just a Switch Online.
That's Switch Online.
Yeah,
I don't have that.
Tracks for Mario Kart and everything.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have that one. So my point is, JT, for me, I would like to get Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild upgraded, it will cost me $20. So when you come in the chat and you're like, you're out of date, you don't know what you're talking about. And he says here, nothing's been labeled $90. I've been reading up on it. $80 physical or digital for Mario Kart World.
Even if it's 80,
listen,
that's still
let's just take the $80, right? Even with tax, right? That's gonna be $90. And then here's the thing. Now we got to worry about tariffs. So now the console is not $499 and $449. Now the games are not going to be that. So that's a whole nother ball game, right? So it's like, dude, I'm used to buying, like, when the original Switch came out, I bought 3 of them for my 3 sons, right? And I was able to buy their games. You're right, $50, $60. Okay, fine. Now each game $100, dude. I'm not spending $300 for a
Mooch, remember what I told you?
game. Just for my kid. You kiss my grits with that. That's a non-starter.
Remember what I texted you?
Yes.
Remember what I texted you on DM
Yes.
regarding that? And that's exactly the point. That is exactly the point. They're going to lose that market because Nintendo was the McDonald's of the gaming industry. You know, you took your
perfect price, right? Perfect price. Mm-hmm. And even if time to time they have a game that's, even when they bumped one of the games out, was it Zelda or something? They bumped it up to 70. Even then we were kind of like, oh well, okay, but it was begrudgingly that we did it. But now, no, I'll have to spend $300 just for my kids to be able to play Mario Kart, right, on one. And then on top of that, I have to spend $500. Obviously it's going to be more than that with that.
What's also scary about all of this is
that's crazy.
They're a benchmark setter, which is also kind of scary because basically when one goes up in price, other competition kind of push their prices up as well. So you can expect Sony to follow suit quite quickly. And
I'm hoping not. And I'm hoping not, Willie, because here's the thing: Sony has a great opportunity.
They do
to really expand their market, because a person would say, hey, it's going to cost me $550, $600 just to get into the Nintendo Switch 2 ecosystem. For that, I can get a PS5, all the fucking games that I want, or I can just easily get me a PS5 Pro for that. I can move over there.
If you're looking for your kid, you can get him a fucking iPad for much cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, an iPad for like kids, $250, $300. Well, here's the thing, though. I'll say this much, but Jay, here's the thing. So you're right. I think ultimately what it comes down to is I've always liked to have the latest and greatest Nintendo in the house, right? We don't really utilize it as much as other families might, but I like to have it. The difference here is, I don't know how. Let me ask you guys this. Let's not talk about the games for a second. Let's start at the basics here. Let's talk about the console. So the console's as of right now, we know prices could go up. I understand that because they took the pre-orders away from the United States. Hear me out real quick. Right now, $450 for the regular J. Okay, and then it's $500 with Mario Kart, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it currently is before the changes may or may not occur with tariff situations, things like that. But hear me out. At the end of the day, Jay, do you think $500 as it currently stands, if they still hold that, for the console and Mario Kart, is that too much to ask? That alone, before we get to the games individually.
To me, it is. That's $150 more than what it should be. And the reason we know this is because they're selling it for like $350 in Japan. You're selling to your own customers for $350. That's really the value. That's really what what you should be selling it for, because you're selling to them. But you're going to sell it to everybody else for $450 and $500. Nah, that's an non-starter.
There's an article that came out today that their bill of materials is $400. It's an unsubstantiated report, but rumors are that
I'm calling bullshit. And now the reason I'm calling bullshit is because they're selling it to their customers in Japan for $342. How can
that might be?
What's the conversion? What's the conversion though?
And plus, that only has Japanese language. You cannot put once you put the English language on it.
I agree. It doesn't have the language packs. But, I agree. But what, a language pack is $150? Like, come on.
Yes.
Listen, I wasn't born yesterday. And I'm not gonna no. Again, if they're selling it in one territory for $342, it's built in the same factory, right? It's built in the same place. There's no special materials in this one that's in that one. So, and the fact that the executive came out and said, "Oh, when we came up with the pricing, we didn't have tariffs in mind. We came up with the pricing, we didn't even think about tariffs. We'll think about tariffs later. That's why we'll let you guys pre-order later when we figure out what tariffs are going to be." So, this is a non-starter. It's for me, again, to each his own. You guys can look at me in the eye, add it to cart, and check out. But I'm just telling you, for me, it's a hard pass. I would rather get
the day where J.
Like I said, I'm telling you, I'll go get a fucking Xbox. I'll go get another PlayStation. Listen, Steam Deck right now, by the way, the Steam Deck right now and the ROG Ally, you can go get them for $399 right now.
Yep.
Right? Sign up for Steam. I mean,
but why
that singer, go ahead. Tell them where all those $2 games that you buy and play.
So let me
tell them. Do the spiel.
I want to interject on this. It's an interesting conversation. So, don't forget, Nintendo has always, well, at least for the last few generations, have priced their hardware with margins in mind. So I actually do believe that the price of the console is just the regular price without the tariffs. I said this, I was literally debating certain analysts. It's weird. I won't name them because I'm actually friends with them, but big analysts who cover big regions telling me, no, we think the price is including the tariffs. And I'm saying, look, it physically couldn't have, because he literally announced reciprocal. I say reciprocal, they're not reciprocal. They're on trade deficit, but I'm just going to use the word that he used for now. They only announced the reciprocal tariffs after Nintendo had already had their presser. And it took the entire market by storm, which is why everything dumped, right? Nobody had that pricing in mind. So I was saying to them, at most, they may have considered a tiny margin of the China tariffs that were already implemented. But even then, not really, because most of the manufacturing now is in Vietnam and Cambodia. So the Chinese tariffs don't really even affect them much. I think they just priced it because the hardware is obviously better. It's Nintendo being Nintendo. They want their margins anyway. I mean, the Switch OLED is still $350, and this is not justifying the price or whatever, but I think it's kind of where I anticipated it, because if you look across the board, post-COVID, post-Ukraine, post-chip shortages, everything is more costly. And I always actually, weirdly enough, I look to PlayStation because they give us data. PlayStation, in their fiscal year 2023 report, they actually put inside their reportage that year they'd made less operating profit because they were still selling PS5s at a loss. In 2023, after they said they'd already started making profit, now the PS5s were back to making a loss. They also said in the same report, they expect to make more profit in 2024 because they believe overall they'll sell fewer PS5s. So if the PS5 at $350 to $450, $500 is still making a loss, and it came out 4.5 years ago, obviously Nintendo is going to face similar challenges. The manufacturing cost is probably higher. Then they take their $50, $100 on top. But, it's priced with margins, but I don't think it is probably super unfairly priced. I think the days of expecting, manufacturer to take a loss is gone.
I will say, Jay, and don't get me wrong, Nib kind of put a little bit more, he quantified a few things. And I understand your feeling on it, because I think on the software side of it, it's some of those numbers are astronomical, especially when we just took a price hike earlier in this generation. Now to take one like that again, that's quite a bit. But I don't think let's forget the 500, because I mean, if you may say, well, I don't like Mario Kart, which that's crazy. I think if you're going to Switch, you have to have Mario Kart. But $450 nowadays, if you want to go ahead and make the case for a Steam Deck, I mean, I have a Steam Deck, and whenever I hit the road, I bring the Steam Deck. So I'm with you. It's a great device. I always said that to people, and this isn't because Death Singer's been in my ear, legitimately, it's a great. But I do think, Jay, $450 with today's day and age, and Nib's been saying this week in and week out on the show, we're done I think we're done with the whole
Yeah.
the companies taking a hit on the console. They're going to charge us for the console moving forward. A lot of people feel that way even with
By
PlayStation
the way,
5 Pro
the
and
Steam
maybe
Deck-
the 6.
But let me also say this. This is another
Steam Deck
factor.
Steam Deck is a good example though, because Valve announced that I think it was in an interview or something, that on the cheaper model Steam Deck, they actually were taking a loss. Just to try and get people to migrate into the platform. So that was an outlier situation where they were taking a loss. So even comparing to that is not necessarily fair to Nintendo. Again, I'm not justifying it. It's just the world we live in.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
But there is something
I was
going
going to make one final point. You mentioned just Mario Kart earlier. The thing that's weird about Mario Kart, and I mentioned this on the show a few weeks ago, Mario Kart 8 and Deluxe had less than 300 people in the production credited to their development. So if Nintendo, when they say like Mario Kart should be $80, $90 or whatever, and Donkey Kong should be less, it's a weird precedent, because what they're actually saying is it's the value of the IP to them, perceived value, or how popular the IP is, not actually what the production cost is. Because Mario Kart, by all intents and purposes, is cheap as chips to make. Like a game that there is no AAA game these days that has less than 300 people making it, except Mario Kart, and the fact that it sold 67 million. What they're saying is the price we're charging is not because this cost us X amount to make. It's because, it's really popular and we know people will pay, basically.
But what I think it is,
But
what I think it is, what I think it is that is PR speak for, hey, this shit is getting expensive. We're not used to paying this much to make a game. We're used to these big old bougie profits, and we're not getting it because this game is costing us a lot because the tech is going up, and we don't know what to do. That's what I think it is. This is something that PlayStation and Xbox already had to deal with because they were always on the cutting edge of technology. And when you're making a cutting edge game, it's expensive.
Yeah, but wait a minute, wait, Wise. Wise, hold on, Wise. You used that argument earlier when we were talking about PlayStation and Xbox. Are you comparing what Intergalactic's going to cost to Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart?
No. I'm not saying that Intergalactic's price is comparison to Mario Kart. What I'm saying is, to Nintendo, this is the first time they've had to, I think, shell out to pay this much money consistently to produce a game. Their games in the past have not costed them that much money.
Bro, there ain't no way Mario Kart and it's going to cost more than 70 million.
Their games don't have no motion capture, no voice actors, no nothing. They're the same rehashed shit, right?
Dude, it's mostly a higher resolution and higher frames.
And I'm just throwing it out there.
Higher resolution, higher frames, open world.
No, higher resolution, dude. Higher resolution.
For them, this
higher
is
resolution
new.
And higher frames does not cost more money.
Well,
that just
it doesn't.
It just requires more processing power.
This shit is going to be scaling with you. I'm like, come on. We're not here for to justify adding money for extra pixels.
I'm saying
nobody else has been able to get away with that. We're not going to let Nintendo get away with that.
No, I guarantee
because you have more pixels, you got to charge you more because you have more pixels. Bruh,
I was going to say why.
Well, no, but for example, this one's going to be open world too, so it's going to cost them more money to make a open world.
Well,
NBA 2K ended up going open world. It's the same price.
Yeah, no, you can listen. Wise, it's not to it. Hold on,
I'm not justifying.
I hear you.
I'm just saying for them, they're not used to spending this type.
Well,
of
get used to it.
They don't know what to do.
Here's the thing, though. But like I say. I understand. What Wise is saying, they were probably looking at X percentage of profits before. That profit is now going to shrink a bit because the games do cost. Listen, they cost, Wise, they do cost more. That I'll agree with you. I'm not saying you're wrong with the word more, but the more, that delta you're talking about, I don't believe is substantial enough to start asking people for $80 and $90 a game. That's
I don't agree
delta.
With their reaction towards it.
I'm not saying you're wrong with more. Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong with your analysis of more. Yes, they are. Every time we go into a new generation, it doesn't matter if it's Xbox, PlayStation, Sony, it doesn't matter if it's Take-Two, it doesn't matter who it is. These games cost quite a bit more than the last generation. But you do have to realize going up from, and Nintendo games were predominantly, a couple of them hit the $70 mark. But a lot of them, the Switch games earlier in this generation, were still at the $60 mark. $60 for a cartridge now to $90, or if it's $80, because I got a couple people that are hardcore in the chat say it's not $90, it's $80. Okay, say $80, but to jump like that and you're not seeing the drastic difference from, like, I'm trying to give you guys a quick example here from, going from like an Xbox One PS4 game to what we see here in this generation, and the world's expansion, and how, like, you see GTA's map, GTA 5's map from 6 map is unbelievable, right? Is that the kind of difference we're seeing? And even though on a Mario Kart game, does that justify a $20 price hike? Yes, you're right, Wise. The profit margin may shrink for them a bit, but that's kind of something that they have to figure out internally. And if you want to go up to $70 like the others are, yeah, that's where the market is now. That's fine. They're bypassing that, and I don't believe they're more in your statement is as much as the more that the Xbox first party studios and PlayStation first party studios are putting out for some of their games, and they're still reduced to $70
but if
a
you're
game.
used to a certain amount of profit percentage, and you don't
just bouncing off your point, Wise. Just bouncing off your point. The profit margin of Nintendo has always been pretty much double that of PlayStation, right?
Yes.
And the reason for that is because the cost of making the games is way cheaper. You probably Nib would have a good estimate. There's probably around 70 million to make. Like the best game, like Mario Kart or something, Breath of the Wild, probably 70 million tops. Like I can't see it costing more than that. Like the budget of a game. The hardware has always been so much lower in cost to make, so they're able to, and they still get away with charging comparable prices with competing platforms. So no kidding that the profit margins are high, super high, consistently. But the Switch 2, all it's really doing is providing the performance that people wanted from Switch games. And the visual fidelity that comes from higher resolution and higher frames comes from the hardware. That does not come from more time and energy in the studio developing games on a higher budget. It's literally what you're going to get with Mario Kart World is the same tracks from the previous Mario Kart games, then with a little bit of time thrown in to piece them all together in a coherent way to make it open world. And so there's ways around the creation process to keep budgets down, which Nintendo are very, very good at exploiting. The devs, they have spent their entire lives developing these games consistently. Like Nintendo Studios, they don't have a huge turnover where they letting staff go and new staff coming in. They tend to, staff stay in their studios working on these games for a long time. So the studios have a pedigree. The studios have skills and knowledge from the previous games to bring in. And I can't see Mario Kart World costing more than the Mario Kart before it to make. Just there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So this price hike is just because they can, and probably not. I'm hoping that it'll be market disruptive in that the market, people will speak with their wallet, and maybe we're the competition now, guys. The consumer has become the competition. How bad is that? Like the market it's become so monopolized with Xbox jumping out of the game and with Nintendo and PlayStation being the only major really platforms in the gaming industry besides PC, that really it's the consumer now that's competing with these companies for them to keep the quality and price to a reasonable standard.
Well, here, let me just change the dynamic of the conversation a bit here, because I don't know if these two games are going to make that kind of impact. But I remember, was it Dust Bloods? I think it's Dust Bloods, and now you have Hades 2, they announced this week, coming exclusively to Switch 2. Console exclusive, by the way, because it'll still be on PC, which makes Deathsinger very happy. But
Mooch, I'm sorry, I have to jump in. I got to run. We got another engagement I got to deal with right
no
now.
problem, Wise. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate great conversation, man. Great conversation.
Nice talking to all you guys. Appreciate
Thanks, Wise.
Hey, Wise. Okay, bro.
You two take care.
I'll ask you, Jay, I'll start with you, and then I want to hear Deathsinger. What do you guys think about this? I mean, Hades is definitely a well enough known game. I think it did very well. The first one, it got critically acclaimed. I just like these are games that, and even some of the Souls community is probably going to pick it up. Maybe they'll wait because I do believe whatever it is there. Is it Dust Bloods? I think I don't have that one in my notes. That's from like 2 weeks ago. I have to open up in a different file. But I don't remember the game. The one from Software. That's going to be a console exclusive as well as Hades 2. And Jay, what do you think? I mean, does Hades 2 or those types of games, exclusives do sell consoles. I'm just wondering if those names are the ones for Nintendo fans. Remember, are Nintendo fans going to be running to go pick up Hades? I don't know. I think they'll enjoy the fact that it's a console exclusive. I'm not saying they're not going to enjoy that, but I don't know if they're going to run to pick that up. I don't know if that's a needle. You know, does that move the needle?
No. It's see. Here's the thing. It's going to continue with Nintendo. They make their games and their hardware. They make their hardware for their games. If third party just so happen to, to come to be able to bring some games over there, they'll take them. They'll take them as well. I'm all about exclusives. I think it's great. I want Nintendo to go out and get exclusives. I'm not the exclusives are anti-consumer. I'm not part of that crowd. That's the other guys. But I will say this. I think that's great. I don't think Hades 2 is a big enough game that's going to have anybody huffing and puffing. I mean, because most people have a PC or, if they want, they're going to pick up a Switch and they'll just pick it up on that, if they want to. So I don't think that would be I guess a system seller or something that would make a guy be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go pick up Switch because now I've always wanted to play Hades. But it's a great added value. If you're there for the Mario Kart and you're there for the Donkey Kong, then hey, I'll go ahead and pick up, hey, this is just any added.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Eric, the producer, Jay. He says here, I thought exclusives were bad. He goes, I guess only when it's Sony. JT said Mario Mooch Kart. What is it? Mooch Mario Kart World. I've sat there and listened to every track. Nothing's been repeated. None of the tracks have been repeated. I didn't say the tracks were repeated. I don't know if somebody said that on the chat or in the on the panel, but I think this is a full-fledged all-new game. I'm not discounting the game, JT Gamer. I'm not discounting the game at all. I'm just saying if you look at the cost of some of these games that are coming out, not just that, JT, but you do have to understand, we were joking and the industry was talking about it. There was numerous articles of whether or not GTA 6 was going to go up to $100 and ramp up. I mean, Nintendo going into this situation right now where they're going to be charging $80, maybe $90. Okay, I'll stick with the $80. What does that say for GTA 6 where they know this game's going to print money? I mean, why would you know what I mean? I mean, Deathsinger, why wouldn't GTA 6 charge $90 or $100 at this point if Nintendo for the next 6 months, from June on, is making $80, $90 a game? What's stopping them?
That's what's scary. That's what's scary.
That's the thing. Nothing will stop them, and they'll do it, and they'll get away with it, and they'll sell at that price because they know GTA is a commodity that people won't be able to live without. Like, you won't be able to live without it, and they know people will do that. I guarantee you, when it launches, Twitch is going to break records on Twitch.
I agree.
Twitch is going to be actively pushing it because they're going to make bank off this game coming out. All the platforms, YouTube gaming will make bank when this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, Nintendo has gone, okay, well, we're going to do this. Okay, cool. So now people are Rockstar like, bet. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's 100 sealed. And if you want the special edition, 150 or whatever. And people will pay it.
Yeah, they will.
And it's just completely stupid what Nintendo's doing, and I actively hate it, and I've gone against it. I did buy a Switch because it was cheap enough. It was within my price thing. But I only play like one game a year on the Switch, so it doesn't really affect me. But it's absolutely insane how they get away with it. And GTA, and now people are going to go, yay, we love the price we have to pay. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not cool with that. But Rockstar, yeah, it's 100, guaranteed. Pay you any money, it's 100.
That's interesting.
What if it's $69? What if it's regular price?
What does that
say? What does that say about? No. I'm just saying because we don't know, right? But
Yeah.
what if it is regular price? Then that says Nintendo decided to price their games higher than anybody else on the market. Nintendo doesn't have it like that to do that. They don't even make games that are worthy of that, right? They don't give you the stuff that Xbox and I just find it very. It's crazy. People don't have that same energy. They have all the smoke for Xbox and PlayStation, but when it comes to Nintendo, they're the untouchable.
Yeah. Well, Jay, and it's funny because we're seeing that online. Jay, you're not wrong,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering what's going to happen here because my follow-up question for you guys real quick is, and it's easy for people to say yes or no now because it's the console's not out and they're not taking the money out of their pocket yet. But Jay, you heard Death Singer. He's like, I got a Switch and I'll buy 1, maybe 2 games a year. He's saying 1 game a year, right? So now if these are that price across the board for Nintendo's going to maybe see, because Wise was saying, well, these games cost more. That's fine. But they may now start to see where their average consumer was buying, I'm making this up, I don't know their numbers, 3 games. Maybe they were getting 4 games from their average consumer. Now they see that dip to 1 or 2 because of the price point. That's a problem. That's a big problem for them. And like
yeah, absolutely. They definitely won't sell as many consoles as they sold this generation. They won't sell as many games because again, the price is the price is kind of it's a barrier. Like I said, people would willingly buy their kids Nintendo Switches and other games because you can get 2 games for $100, right?
That's right.
And you can get the system only costs $299. And we haven't even got like the light, right? You can pick up a light for $199, when it was, so it was an easier barrier. Now you done basically double the price for that entry. Yeah, and that's just with 1 game. So did this, I don't know. I don't know if Nintendo is just getting cocky, but see, here's the thing. People thought it was Sony going to be the one that's going to be cocky. They thought that Rockstar and others were going to, but it's Nintendo came out the gate with this, and so I think they're going to sell. I think after that initial rush of with the FOMO, the people that just the diehards, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
But then holiday season and stuff like that, if that price don't come down on those games and the system, I don't think the system is going to carry well into the years.
Yeah.
So
no, I think you're onto something, Jay. Honestly, I really do. I think that's a problem. And Ryan Landis, he says, Mooch, I think the $70 price hurt Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not sure about that, Ryan. I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong. I don't know. I thought Tears of the Kingdom, Tears of the Kingdom probably sold gangbusters. I think that sold well.
Oh, it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I don't
know the numbers off the top of my head.
I don't think $70 affected that, Ryan, but I can tell you right now, when you have games, if you're going to sit here and make the debate about Mario Kart,
they sold about 20 million.
Well, that's pretty damn good, Jay. But I'll say this though, Jay, if you're talking about Zelda, Metroid's a bad example because even though I think Metroid's one of the top tier, I remember a few people doing videos saying, Metroid's, everyone says they love Metroid, then they don't support Metroid. But Mario Kart, Zelda, Mario games, the platformer, those absolutely sell like insane. It's the other games that they sell they sell very well as of right now. How are those games going to sell at $80-$90? That's the question. Kirby, for example, is that going to dip now that it's gone up? That's a game where a Nintendo fan might say, you know what? I bought 2 games this year already. I'm at $160. Or if they're physical and I don't know if it's in the UK a price or if it's here or whatever the situation is, but you're talking about $90, $180 for 2 games. Like Jay said before, you used to get your cost of entry was $100 for games. 2 games in the system would be $100 plus the $299. Now you're at $450 or $500 plus maybe $180 if you're buying 2 physical, depending on your location. So that's a big difference, and that's what I think you're going to see a difference in the numbers right there. Is people buying less software, and ultimately that's what's going to sting. That's really going to sting. Yeah. Jay is totally entitled to his opinion, and Jay's actually a phenomenal businessman, so I respect his opinion. I don't think the $450 price with what's going on in the world today, where everything is absolutely astronomical. I don't know if that's the deterrent, but the $80 and $90. That's where I think the sting is. And Jay, don't get me wrong. I also don't think that you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, but I'm thinking deep down inside the Nintendo diehard will still put out $450, and if they're respected retail places locally, Jay will give. I think we saw GameStop come out and say the OLED they'll give $175. I think the original they'll give $125. That's not a great trade-in on Moochonomics at all. That's a piss poor trade-in. However, $175 off of that $450 if you're not doing the Mario Kart bundle. It's a easier pill to swallow.
Yeah, but Mooch, you're still looking at $350 out the door.
That's right. That's right.
After trading in all your shit.
That's right.
And then it doesn't help that Sony is selling PS5s for like $350 and $399 with Astrobot. You know what I'm saying? It's just
right.
I'm looking at it from a value added standpoint, and it's like, and then here's the thing, right? And then GTA is coming out this year. You can get you a PS. I mean, you can pretty much for the price that it takes you to get a Switch out the door with a game or two. That's PlayStation Pro territory. You could just get you up a PlayStation 5, or Xbox.
Well,
and pick up GTA 6.
Jay, you're not wrong. And GTA, great. Okay, so you ended it with a great point. GTA 6, absolutely. So I'm not gonna. I have no rebuttal to that last part. But what do we always say on PlayStation? It's like, well, listen, and I say this all the time. If you want to play The Last of Us, you want to play God of War, you want to play Returnal, then you want to play, Source, you want to play these games that are coming out or some of the critically acclaimed Sony games, you got to have the console. The same thing goes for Nintendo here. If you're like, listen, there's not a Sunday in the family household that we don't play Mario Kart together. I've got 8 controllers, we got a big screen, you got an 80-inch TV, you've got, the 8 quadrants, you're having fun with it, the whole 9. I mean, that's fantastic. You in order to do that and keep it going, you got to buy the Switch. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We can't say that. I won't sit here and say just for PlayStation. So it depends on the consumer. But you're right. If it's like, well, wait a minute, Mooch. Now you're in PS5 territory with GTA 6. I can't argue that. I don't know. I'm not going to say they're not. We haven't heard anything. We don't know anything about GTA 6 really, except that it's coming later this year. Supposedly still on track. We don't know if there's going to be a Switch 2 version. I don't think so. I think eventually maybe, not maybe day one. But yeah, Jay, you make a good point. Yeah, so if you're talking about dollar and just getting, the most bang for your buck, again, value's in the eye of the beholder. I say that all the time. People are like, well, Game Pass is the best value in gaming. It's a very good value. To say it's the best value in gaming, it strongly depends on who the hell you're asking, So that's where I'm with that. But yeah, I don't know. Death Singer, what do you think? Last thoughts here on Switch 2? Are you going to trade in yours? You have a Switch. You can get upwards of $125, or if you have the OLED, $175.
I got rid of it.
Because, you got rid of it?
Remember? I told you when, because I could get them at 60 FPS.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, when you said you still had it, I thought you were holding on to it still for games that maybe weren't
No, because there was no point. I was like, you know what? I could play all these games at 60, 40p. I'll be fine, So I did what I had to do. And like the Switch 2, I mean, as long as they keep to the promises of the frame rates, I mean, to be honest, the only games are really going to play are like Fire Emblem. They always release a Fire Emblem. Love the series. Some of the more niche JRPGs that often get locked to Nintendo. And yeah, that's basically going to be what I'm going to use it for. And maybe the Zelda if it's good. So yeah, I'm going to get it. It's just their practices are shitty. As I said on Twitter, Nintendo is always going to Nintendo. Nintendo can do something good, and in the same sentence, they'll shoot themselves in the foot. And they did that with the Switch 2 reveal. When you watched the live stream of when they revealed it, and it was like, okay, everything, they're speaking my language. They're speaking my frame rates. They're speaking the games are going to be improved. Okay, cool. I left the stream like, yo, I am getting a Switch 2.
Right.
Then all the bullshit came out. And I'm like, really, Nintendo? Really? Like, come on. Like, yeah, Nintendo will always Nintendo. And that's why, as much as they're just a stupid company. But no, well, they're not stupid. It's just they can't help but shoot themselves in the foot. But then people will still buy all their shit regardless of what they do.
Yeah,
like
I'm a hypocrite.
Like they've given you no achievements, subpar chat service, and they do have a chat service, But guess what? It's
That's listen.
paywalled behind.
Look
It's
at
paywalled behind Nintendo Switch Online.
whenever there's an ad on TV or a digital like showing like they had there for the Direct, okay, where it was not live, you always put your best foot forward. I said this last week. I'll say it again. Legitimately, that was some of the worst vocals I've heard over a game chat. That didn't sound good even on. That's where they're supposed to really sell you, right? And the images as well on the camera that were hanging over, that they didn't look so good. The product itself, that didn't look very good as far as they're just catching up to chat and video, which was Kinect and the PlayStation camera and all that stuff from PS4, Xbox One era. And it kind of felt like it was still in the 360 era. I don't know what to say on that whole thing. So yeah, they supplied some of the things that fans were asking for, but again, it still felt a bit primitive. Even and I'm talking about the game chat technology and the video technology that they're offering. It didn't look great.
Well,
Go ahead,
thing
Singer.
is, it's like I wouldn't mind, but like they locked it behind Nintendo Switch Online. Like they locked voice chat.
Yeah.
Good, perfect working voice chat now, and you locked it. But now I understand, that's a practice of consoles.
It's a console practice.
Normally,
yes.
That's the console practice, so I understand it. But it's like you had the prime opportunity to implement your chat and not put it behind that, and that will get a ton of goodwill from gamers.
Chat is not locked behind online paywalls on Xbox and PlayStation 5. I'm pretty sure it's not.
No, it was, and then they changed it.
Right, they changed it.
What I'm saying is Nintendo could have done the same thing, but instead Nintendo did Nintendo. And that is the most common phrase. Nintendo will always do Nintendo. And people love them for it. I will never understand it. It's like they gave you cardboard and people got up and stand in ovation. I don't know. I can't explain Nintendo's fan base.
We're gonna need Nib to do the homework because that's a funny point, that Singer. But like Nib, you're gonna have to do some homework on that because did the cardboard end up being a success at the end? I know that when it came out, it got a lot of criticism. But like, did it end up being successful? I wonder if you could look into that.
I don't think it was a huge success, but it was enough to kind of satiate the product. But
right.
But yeah, it didn't do gangbusters or anything. I don't think it kicked off like they expected.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, more to this subject, like it is a really fascinating thing because like usually I'm like pretty I wouldn't say like I understand the business sentiments, put it that way. As a business owner myself, like I get it. I see the inflation, the cost, or whatever. So I can, and businesses are not charities. People forget. Like this isn't me being a corporate bootlicker, but Nintendo are not in the business of just giving you stuff. They want to make money. They're a business first and foremost, right? They need to make a profit. But the thing is that they really are pushing the boundaries, like little things like. You've got like a welcome tour, right? Mm-hmm. A welcome tour, if anything, is like beneficial to like consumers.
To the consumer, absolutely.
Yeah, like, and it's like, wait, you're charging for that as well? Like, what on earth? Like, like, and it's funny because like, I find like PlayStation gets a lot of the ire from like fanboys online, right? And in comparison, I've always thought Nintendo is always the ones pushing these boundaries. Like when it's with like creators and like licensing and stuff, and taking down videos or whatever. Or they had that thing where you have to share the revenue if you use any of their content or whatever. They had that as well. And then from things like Amiibos and how much they charge for that, and having content locked behind that. Even like free content. Like let me ask you, what DLC expansion or whatever has Nintendo provided free for one of their games? Because even PlayStation, who also enjoy nickel and diming, right? Even PlayStation has had, like, for example, God of War Valhalla, Returnal Ascension, Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Like they've had Astro's Playroom. They have these like fairly rich content heavy expansions that some of them, like Ghost of Tsushima Legends, I think I put like a few dozen hours in. Valhalla took me probably 10 hours, and it made my game of the year list because it felt like almost like I think I spent more time in that than Hellblade 2.
So
Yeah.
that there's fairly substantial content and production values, whole unique assets, you name it, that they're giving for free. Look at GT7. For like 2 years, it's had hundreds of free cars, dozens of free tracks. All of that is free. And I never hear people talk about the consumer friendly side. Yes, I believe you should call out the negatives as well. But, like if you go down to it and you're comparing consumer flexibility or whatever, and you're looking at Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft, Nintendo's in a whole different league. Nintendo, in terms of price gouging and whatever, maximizing, what they get, they're in an entire different league. And I think, this Switch 2 reveal, like, it wasn't just because of these micro things with the pricing and the, Mario Kart of all the games, one of their cheapest to make games of all the games that they make. That being the highest price, to have the cartridges without actually the game on there, to the welcome tour being charged and all this other stuff. But also for me, like, I just didn't feel like the games they have were that compelling for a launch system anyway. Maybe Donkey Kong will be really good. Mario Kart, just like more Mario Kart to me. It wasn't like obviously it's hard to judge on like a compressed screen, but even visually it didn't look really any different. And looking at a few of the comparisons online, it seems like what they're favoring is diminished asset quality and geometry and stuff like that, but just higher resolution or using upscaling technology or whatever with the DLSS. So because of that, on these streams and stuff, and at least when we're seeing them online, they just don't look like much of a jump. But I don't know, like it's funny because even with that, like the comment about, if you can't afford it, just get a Switch. Again, it's just like there is a degree of arrogance and maybe when you are too ahead of yourself and too confident with your position, emanating from Nintendo. But then again, maybe they'll have that for a good reason, because really in the handheld space, who's competing with them?
That's it. Well, who's competing? Well, you say handheld space. Yeah, there's nobody with the numbers that they have, right? Even when you look at the ROG Ally or you look at the Steam Deck. But but when it comes down to it, though, Nib, it's not even who's competing with them in the handheld space. It's their IP, and that's the thing.
Exactly that.
I say it all the time. I use the restaurant, Nib, you'll appreciate it. Like when you have your recipe that your family makes, okay, and nobody's got the recipe, you have two choices as a consumer. You could say that restaurant charges too much for that dish, I'm not going to go. In this case, you're not going to buy the console or the game. Or you're like, I guess I'm going to have to deal with that price. I really love that dish. Right? So that's what happens when you have something unique like an IP or a recipe or something that is only something that you can create. You have that ability to charge. Now, again, as me and Brap always kind of talk about on the show, the market will decide. So yes, even if, like I said, if you have that amazing dish or you have that great IP, but I charge $150 for the plate or for the game, the market's going to say, I love your game, I love your dish, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying it.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the funny thing, right? It's always the case where a restaurant or a deli or whatever that pops off because they have a particular item that everyone's crazy about, right? Say they have a particularly good sandwich or something like that. Inevitably, their prices do go up, right? Because they're such a hot spot, that naturally their prices are going to get pushed up. And Nintendo is that. Like, Nintendo know the value of their IP, exactly like you said. And I am a hypocrite myself. Like, I do not buy games based on their production value, right? Don't get me wrong. I prefer to have nice looking games with high production and great graphics and stuff like that. But that is not why I buy games, right? I buy them fundamentally. Are they enjoyable to play? Are they fun? Are they engaging? And Nintendo games, they make some of the best games in the world. So when I buy a game, even if I do think some of their games look like shit, they're fun to play, and fundamentally that is the most important thing. And they understand that. They understand that, like a Mario or a Zelda or a whatever, Smash Brothers. I've kind of gone off Smash Brothers now, but these games people are willing to pay and invest in these games. Animal Crossing, whatever, and they know that. They know that. But the only thing I would say is, maybe they shouldn't get too complacent, because as we've seen with like the Wii U and the N64, GameCube, etc., Nintendo can ebb and flow in interest and mindshare or whatever. So when Doug Bowser, he does the Matric thing and says, just buy the Switch, maybe they might be too close to the home if they're not careful.
You know,
They really
maybe
are.
they might be. Yeah,
Well,
maybe a lot of people. Yeah,
they're gonna
So
find
we'll see.
out. They're gonna find out, Nib, because I tell you that
Yeah.
that wording didn't go over well in 2013, and it's certainly not going to do well in 20. Well, maybe it was
No.
2012, 2013. It didn't do well then, so it's not going to do it. That saying has aged like milk. It's not doing very well. So
No, and here's the thing, right? Like, if you are like, okay, your son's interested in Nintendo, right?
yeah,
The launch games right now, what? Like, you're gonna spend $450 and $80 on games for Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, or
well,
you
Donkey
could buy
Kong.
a Switch
Apparently,
with-
Donkey Kong is $70. I don't. The pricing of what Nintendo's doing is
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
that's right.
all
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the place.
You're right. You're right. But yeah, the point is like, or you could get them a discounted Switch OLED with all this other games. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, maybe it won't have as much of a transition as the Switch did in terms of like initial. I know the projections are it's going to go crazy but we'll see. I just want to see. I'm not saying that it won't be successful. I think it's going to be hella successful, but I don't know if it will be as successful as the Switch out the gate, just because of these price reasons, because you already have the Switch, etc. And it's already dominant. It has such an incredible library of games. So we'll see. But certainly, like, yeah, hearing all the conversation online, like, why would you jeopardize your goodwill like that? Like, okay, fine, have the console pricing, but be more flexible on Mario Kart's pricing, or have the console pricing and give the world tour free, or do like an Astro Bot or something to show off the features free at least. Like, but it kind of feels like they doubled down on every single possible avenue of price gouging that they could have done, whether it's the chat, whether it's this and that. And it's like, where's the consumer flexibility in any of the choices that they've made or that they announced? Like, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see any of them being a little bit more, coming in lower than maybe that people anticipated.
No, yeah, I completely see that. And like I say, I wonder what's going to happen here, especially. I know a lot of people want to pre-order. I know a lot of people in real life want to pre-order, and we're limited. Did you guys? Yours opened up today, I believe, Nib, right? Or was it yesterday?
Yeah, I believe it was yesterday, but I haven't personally pre-ordered it. Like, I'm waiting for. I will get it. Like, again, like I said, I'm a hypocrite. Like, it's not like I'm looking at the prices and being like, "Oh my god, it's too expensive." Like, no, the price of the console is what I expected. I'm a little bit surprised at the games. But again, for me, all it boils down to is the initial releases aren't compelling enough for me, unless like Donkey Kong, out the gate is really well received by critics and users alike. Because someone did mention online that apparently it's made by the Mario Odyssey team. And if that is the case, that would be awesome. Because Mario, Super Mario is Super Mario. Are you going to get one?
Well, I am planning to pre-order. Yeah, I mean, listen, I got Moochonomics here. Shout out to the great Noof Nukem who's in the chat. Boom, boom, kaboom. The great Noof Nukem's here. Noof knows. I mean, listen, like you say, at the end of the day, $500. I have the OLED version, so I believe it's a 175. So you're dropping down to 325, but then pick up a game or two. Listen, when you're out the door, Jay was saying this, you're going to be over. I'm going to be well over $400. Because I'll probably end up. I'm going to get the Mario Kart edition. That's if we're at 500. Now listen, guys. We have to come back to this conversation when we actually see what the prices are going to be in the U.S. I don't know if it stays the way they are. Then the answer is yes. If things change, Nib, we got to kind of revisit the subject again. I want to see where they go.
I will say off the bat, like maybe if you are in the United States, and maybe do consider buying one in the next 90 days if you plan to buy one at all within the first 6 months. And the reason I say that is because Trump has done a 90-day tariff pause.
That's right.
And Vietnam is one of those countries. I think it's 47% tariff tax in Vietnam.
That's right.
It's only 90 days. Maybe he cancels the tariffs out in 90 days and it's just a negotiating ploy. But if he doesn't, and in 90 days the prices do go up, or they get a negotiated lower tariff, let's say instead of 47%, they agree on like 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
you're still going to be paying more for your Switch. It could end up being similar to the Xbox and
and PlayStation situation where during the life cycle of the console, the price goes up, at least for American buyers.
That is very much a possibility, Nib. That's very much a possibility. And so it might be one of the first times that an early adapter pays less, which doesn't happen very often, not in the tech world anyways. But you're right. The price could go up, right? So it's like, well, I got this thing first. Oh, you must have paid more. No, I actually saved $75. What? Exactly.
So it really could be the case where you end up profiting or getting it at a cheaper price. And if that is the case, and you do buy it like in 90 days, at the end of the day, if the price does go up, just sell it. If you don't want to keep it, you might even make a profit, or you break even. That's true. And like I said, that's why I said I want to revisit the conversation when we actually get the price. I got a weird feeling, again, depending on what happens, if it goes up, I could see it going up maybe $50 right now. Maybe they'll eat it, Nib, and they'll just keep it that price. But like you say, maybe be subjective to a higher price later. And, with everybody paying attention to the news the way they are, if it went up because of a tariff situation, people would understand why that price. They may not understand it as far as acceptance, but they'd see where they came from. So if that initial percentage isn't high and they can keep it right around that $450, $500 mark here in the States, and then it has to go up later by $25 or $50, that's a situation they'll have to handle, and they'll have to handle that in their marketing department. But yeah, I mean, if it stays within the realm of what we know right now, I would pick one up. I mean, I'm not going to come home with 16 games. Donkey Kong, Mario Kart might be the two I come home with, in a $70 game. Okay, I'm paying $70 for other games. Not a problem there. And then, Mario Kart comes with the $500, bundle. So it is what it is. I don't really necessarily have a problem with that. I'm not telling other people to buy that. Noof Nukem was just saying it's 600 and let me just scroll up here a second here. Noof said it's $640 Canadian. So, depending on where you live and your situation, if you have something to turn in or you don't for trade-in value, this is all going to affect how you decide to pick up this console. We will revisit this as we kind of go through because the story's not over. The story is not over. We have to figure out what's going to happen and how, how these tariffs and how things are going to affect pricing over the next, not just week, but probably over the next few months. Yeah, and then also we need to see how well these games are received and just overall impression of the console. It looks like a great piece of kit.
It does.
The battery life is left. It may have, maybe it has some other issues or we don't know. We need to see what the overall reception is, how consumers, with the games and everything. But I will say I'm really fascinated to see how well it does out the gate. Because it could be quite telling. And Nintendo, unlike, say, Microsoft or whatever, they reveal a lot in their sales data. So we should get, the itty-bitty of every game sale and the hardware sale and everything. So very, very curious to see.
Absolutely. I do want to say thanks to Nib and everybody here. As you said, I asked the guys always for 2.5 hours. We're hitting the 3-hour mark here in New York. It's very, very early for Nib. If we keep him podcasting, he's going to go right to breakfast. But I want to say thanks to everybody, guys. I do have work tomorrow. Otherwise, I would keep going. We did pretty good. I had 10 topics. We hit 4, which is not 10, but they were 4 big ones for the week. And I want to say thanks to everybody that's here. Shout out again to Noof. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. The producer, Ryan Landis. Just a couple quick shout outs to everybody that was kind of out there. Shout out to Mary Wilcox, who had to leave early. Bitrate, I see him out there. A lot of great folks stopped by. Shout out to Alf. I don't know if he's still listening, but shout out to Alf, who was here earlier. You guys are all great. Please do hit the like button on the way out. Nib, let people know where they can find you, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Like I said, it is very difficult and let me correct myself because I did say everyone's from England, and the great Death Singer wanted me to let everybody know that he's Welsh.
All right, okay.
So I put that out there.
So,
yeah.
So it's just on X, NIB. 95_. That's it.
Well, great to have you here, Nib. Honestly, I love it when you're on the show. And we're really making there's a lot of chemistry that's really building here. We have some great guests that pop on. But Nib being here when he can, the great Death Singer, of course, Brap when he pops in, really had a good mesh right there. So I'd like to keep this group intact as much as possible when they are available. I'll give a couple shout outs real quick to those that had to leave a little bit early. Shout out to the great J-Dub City. Jay had to leave early. Shout out to Jay. Well, early, I shouldn't say early. He was here for 2.5 hours. That's at JDub City16 over on X. Go over and follow him. Wooly Gamer at Wooly Gamer YT over on X. You guys know Deathsinger. He's here every week, so you don't have to worry about that. You know where to find Deathsinger. Brap is at Brap_podcast. He may be doing something tomorrow night. I don't know. I don't think he went last night, but I got to say, I usually check out Brap when he goes on Wednesday nights. I didn't see anything, but he may be going tomorrow night. The Wise Old Gamer, he has, it's awesome. It's getting wacky Wise. Wise is a fantastic guy, man. You got to go over and check out his podcast. It's Friday nights at 6 p.m. It's Wise Old Gamer over on X. Shout out to the Crap Gamers at _Crap Gamer or Crap Gamer Reviews on YouTube. Shout out to the Great Gaming Forte and Slomo Backstop for doing DPS. Go over and tell them I said hello. Tell them Mooch sent you. Really appreciate that. And of course, just an outstanding to have Craig, the tech guy who was here with us earlier. Craig says, Mooch, can I get on the show? I love it when Craig stopped by. Guys, please do hit the like button on the way out. Just a heads up, I should have said this earlier, but I'll tweet it out during the week. I am not going to be around next Thursday, so we are off next Thursday. Go play some games. I'll be taking my notes. We'll have a lot of topics. I'll probably come back with 20 topics, and we'll get to 5 of them. But nonetheless, it's going to be worth it. We'll see you guys in 2 Thursdays. So not next week, but the week after. We'll be back 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you to everybody that was here. Go ahead and tweet it out. Let everybody know where to find us in the future. We'll see you guys not next Thursday, but the Thursday after that. Peace out and good night. Go play some games.
Later, Mitch. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace, Nib.